Chapter 11, Second Gacha Disclaimer. I own nothing. This history have no interest in offend any party, having the sole objective of only entertain the readers. Enjoy. Act like you trust people, but do not. New York, unknown place he is where. The overweight man exclaims furiously into the phone as he stands up and starts pacing nervously in circles. How can he leave the country? Like that? He is a minor. And why was I not informed? On the other end of the phone line, you can hear a voice patiently explaining to the first man. Mr. Bellucci, Hector is already 16-year-old. He can travel unaccompanied and without authorization. He left immediately after the funeral for a second funeral with his paternal grandparents' family. There is nothing wrong with that, but if he doesn't come back, Darrow? What if he decides to live in that third world country in the woods? I will have nothing. You will have nothing. Alexander, Hector's uncle exclaims, making a shower of saliva and his face turning red. That would be unfortunate. But now it's out of our hands. Mr. Hector has a dual nationality and is off American soil. There's nothing we can do. Lawyer Leopold Darrow still responds in a calm voice. No, that can't. I want him back. I want him on my tutelage. How can we bring him back? The deal was him under my guardianship, Darrow. I remember the deal, but it's impossible to force him back. He is with his direct family, his grandparents, and only his own decision can move him. Let's forget about the deal. Unfortunately, we didn't gain anything from the circumstances, but we didn't lose anything. Darrow concludes. He is the family's lawyer. He works to all of Bellucci family. Although Alexander Bellucci had approached him offering a large sum if he could make him Hector's legal guardian and he had accepted, now his hands were tied. This can't dash. You know what? Forget about that. Sometimes things aren't meant to be, right? Alexander says as he abruptly calms down. I have things to do now. Have a good night, Darrow. He says goodbye, ending the call. Likewise, Mr. Bellucci is the last thing Alexander hears before he presses the button to end the call. Bam, damn it. That can't do. My neck is on the line here. Alexander slams his hand furiously on the table. Lawyer Darrow doesn't have all the details. He is unaware of Alexander Bellucci's involvement with the death of Carvalho couple. He doesn't know about the deal with the Kingpin and consequently doesn't know about the ultimatum Alexander have received. There's no need for Darrow to know these things. He just needed to do his job. Hand over the brat's guardianship to me, so before he came of age he was going to have an accident and all my problems would be solved. But then Darrow brought to Alexander's attention the possibility of Hector living in Brazil, which forced him to move forward with his plans. Informing and asking the Kingpin for help again, the little invasion on the Carvalho residence was planned. But it was never carried out. The men who were supposed to do the dirty work apparently died to a vigilante or in a gang fight in the night of the act. And Hector left the country the next day. So much bad luck is falling on Alexander Bellucci's head. I shouldn't go through all this. Alexander mumbles as he tugs at a few strands of hair. I should already own everything in the family. I'm the oldest. I am the one who have been working and giving my blood and sweat to the family patrimony, but that old man passes it all on to that bitch who spent years in that miserable country, going native, forgetting about her family. He says, gritting his teeth. She comes back married and with a little runt in the hips. She comes to work in the family hospitals long after me, and she never cared about the management of the place. But in the end, she gets most of it. I can't accept this. I need to think of a way to bring the little bastard back and end his miserable life. And so all my problems will be solved. Alexander concludes in the darkness of his office. Brazil, Carvalho Farm, Hector POV. It's the beginning of the night. My grandparents have already retired to sleep. Countryside people sleep and wake up early. All day Valentine and Batman percentages stood at 99%. Only in the afternoon I passed the limit. It was a good feeling. Like a click in my body and mind. I decided to wait alone in my room to perform the new gacha. The small TV in my room is broadcasting news of an incident in New York. Apparently, the mole man tried to sink Manhattan Island, bringing the place underground or something like that. But he was stopped by the efforts of the Fantastic Four. Mole man. This is a pretty obscure character. I need to be careful. It seems that all sorts of threats are out there in the world, and I don't know or remember half of them. Because of that I can't come to live in Brazil for a while. I need to stay close to the other heroes, in the center of the big events. It would be very unlucky for the world to end while I was chilling here in the calm place that is this country. Interestingly, Spider-Man also played a role in this incident, more by saving people who were almost killed by the earthquakes. But JJJ doesn't let the webhead be seen as a hero, so the credit goes to the Fantastic Four. But that just makes it clear that this world it's quite different from the movies, where characters can't appear in someone else's movie. Ho I think is even a meme in my last life. World is ending, hero when is not his. Movie, chills so many things could be happening right now, X-Men fighting Apocalypse, Secret Invasion, Ultron being made, Thanos killing half of a planet. And I'm here completely oblivious to it all. TCH. I need to get stronger, and my way is the gacha. Let's see what tools I will gain today, to grow in the food chain that is this crazy world. 1/4 gacha points, 122 general gacha. In setting gacha, Marvel, 2/4 Hector Bellucci de Carvalho race, human character assimilation fully assimilated, funny Valentine, Batman in progress, empty summoned characters, none powers, source of all living matter, dirt D's done dirt cheap, stand, equipped items, none others, chakra books, unstable molecule suit, EDI biomech suit V2.0 non-used cards. Characters Shago, Kim Possible, Flurkin, Pet, Marvel, Loki, Earth 199999/MCU, Spider-Man, Miles Morales, Earth 1610, items, Sword of Actuation, Berserk, Batch of Heart-Shaped Herb Zeta Flight Space Station, Earth 25271, Neutralizer Gun Powers and Abilities Made in Heaven Stand, JJBASO, Consumable Shonen Setting Travel Ticket, Low Tier /1 month, Power Boost Card Background. Customization Card X0544 CO Options, CO Points, 450 Simplified Marvel CO I have 122 points. Today I will get 40 cards. I can't even imagine. I feel like I haven't even tested everything I've won, and it's true. I didn't transform into a 300-meter titan and I didn't even use the Sword of Actuation. But I'll have the whole month ahead of me to get used to my newfound powers. Plus a few days off until I get back to New York and my high school life. The changes in my appearance might raise a few eyebrows, but I haven't been seen by anyone there for over 2 months. So it should be okay to blame puberty. Being a loner has its perks now. Now it's time to roll. I take out my cell phone to do a ritual. It's simple, I put a song with remix. And I use gacha in the drop of the music. In the most sick part. Let's go. First group of 10. 1 package, Arcane Jace, League of Legends, 2. 500 CP3. Manga/anime/novel, Japanese, Gacha Mode 4. Minecraft Inventory 5. Power Boost Card 6. Power Boost Card X027. Huntress, Helena Bertinelli, DC Comics, 8. Weakness Removal Card X039. Movie Setting Travel Ticket 10. Super Power Store CYOA. Again, no one or nothing too strong. But there are very useful things. There are more consumables. The first item is the Arcane Jace package. Wait a minute. It's not Jace from the Arcane series. It's Jace with the Arcane skin from League of Legends game, that puts certain things in perspective. There are game skins that have very different backgrounds. I played with friends in the past life. And I still have my sanity intact, partially. And I know there are cosmic skins, Odyssey and others. And characters in this situation must at least be planetary level. Something to watch out for in the future. Taking as an example the character Lee Sin, one of my online friend was mono. Normally, Lee Sin is a monk who knows how to fight. Being very generous you can level him up to Spider-Man. But with that golden god skin or lightning dragon. 1. He sure is much stronger. I can gain different versions of characters, sometimes stronger, sometimes weaker. Good to know. Different characters can have alternate versions. But what caught my attention the most was the manga/anime/novel, Japanese, Gacha mode. Reading the description I see that it's as I suspected, a new gacha mode that will only come with anime/manga stuff, and general gacha consumables, apparently. That might be good. Narrowing down the options can help me gain something stronger. And I have the slightest thought that gacha gives me things that I have greater compatibility with. Or that I was more connected in my past life. Things came from JoJo and Shinjiki no Kyojin, animes that I was hyped to watch the new seasons before being transmigrated. I got Batman because my parents died hours earlier, Miles because he's a teenager like me. I'm also a Berserk fan. Now I've gained things that have a little to do with me. Helena Barinelli is a vigilante who hunts down criminal organizations and has a vendetta against the criminal underworld for the death of her parents. Sounds familiar? What I'm getting at is that if I use the anime/manga gacha mode, there's a great chance that the ones I like/watch or have compatibility with will come to me. I watched more shounen and seinen. And I mean there will be characters who fight. Hardly anything shoujo will come, I think. Come on, the chance is never zero. But I think there is a higher probability of winning things at my power level, may fluctuate higher or lower, and be related to my activities and actions. And maybe my hobbies. I will test the anime/manga mode. I use the card and see that the new option appears on the first page. 1/4 gacha points, 92, general gacha, in-setting gacha, Marvel, manga/anime/novel, Japanese, gacha mode using 30 gacha points. Again I run the gacha. If I see good things, I'll use another 30 GP for another roll. Splitting half/half in the use of my GPS in anime/manga gacha and general gacha. 1 Kaneki Mask, Tokyo Ghoul, 2. Tokaido Muchiro, Kimetsu no Yaiba, 3. Power Boost Card 4. Shonen Setting Travel Ticket, Mid-tier/1 month, 5. Mayada Ichiro, Hajime no Ippo, 6. Power Boost Card 7. Special Fire Force Field Uniform, Anin no Shoubutai, 8. Dira's Kitchen Knife, Toriko. 9 Power Boost Card 10. Charlotte Katakuri, One Piece, wow. Katakuri? Serious? He alone has made it worthwhile. One of the strongest characters in One Piece. Genius fighter. He can use all types of haki masterfully. Damn. Worth it? It is apparently the top tier card that is gained by rotating in groups of 10. And there are also good things like Muchiro from Kimetsu no Yaiba, the most talented. Hashira. And it's only from manga and anime that I know. I think my theory is right. Of course, I only read about 20 chapters of Anin no Shoubutai and Hajime no Ippo. I had taken a break on reading a long time ago. But it's more shounen and seinen. No shoujo. It's also possible that it's because I'm in the world of Marvel. Something to compare, is more like shounen/seinen than any other genre of mang. Damn. So many useful things. I will finish using all my GP and then I will catalog everything. I use more 30 GP for another anime role. 1 Nagachika Hideyoshi, Tokyo Ghoul, 2. Character Assimilation Slot 3. Demon Blood Art, Infinity Castle 4. Busujima Psycho, High School of the Dead, 5. Power Boost Card X026. Yagami Raito, Death Note, 7. Power Boost Card 8. Isabella, Yakusako no Neverland. 9 Ika Series, Naruto, 10. Murasame, Akame ga Kill. 4 characters. First time so many come. But all low level. Literally, all of them are baseline humans. Raito is a genius at least and Isabella too. Isabella too. Ha 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 ha, I can't help but laugh. Oh god. This gacha truly has a dark humor. I said before that gacha is more likely to give me cards that relate to my actions. Ha ha ha. Lived on a farm the last few days, hee hee. I even helped out a little in the field. Ha ha ha, and I win Mama Isabella from Yakusako at Neverland. Aha shahasa, I can't breath, ha 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 huff. A.N. The ones that know. Regaining my composure a minute later, I resolve to continue with the last roll. I will go back to general mode. The top tier card is apparently Akame's Murasame. Overpowered weapon by the way. But the things I got related to katanas, damn. I'm more of a longsword guy. Katanas are overrated. But Japanese people love their katanas. But eventually will be useful. Now, time to the last roll. Will be from the general gacha. 1 Power Boost Card 2. Custom Visual Powers Perk 3. 200 CP 4. Miss Militia Shard Power, Worm, 5. Imbue Card Mechanic 6. Power Boost Card 7. Helsing. Arms 13mm Auto Anti-Freak Combat Pistol, Jackal, Helsing, 8. Palantry, Lord of the Rings, 9. M41A Pulse Rifle, Alien vs Predator, 10. Package, Galen Merrick, Starkiller, Star Wars, The Force Unleashed. There's only one character this time. But it's the character. It's fucking Starkiller. Holy fuck. And is the package. That's means. Lightsabers psio, lightsaber. Sound effects. I have to put my hand over my mouth so I don't wake my grandparents with my laughter. Damn. I'm so happy. Today was a big win. Now it's time to analyze everything. Let's start with the characters. I1 Jace, Huntress, Tokaido Muichiro, Miyata Ichiro, Charlotte Katakuri, Nagashika Hideyoshi, Busujima Saiko, Yagami Raito, Isabella, and Starkiller. A total of 10 characters. Some are not very helpful like Miyata, Hideyoshi, and Saiko. They are only human. One of them, Hideyoshi, has no talent. Saiko and Miyata are great fighters, at least in boxing and kendo. Raito and Isabella are also normal humans as well, but they possess genius-level intellects and various talents. I will probably assimilate Raito and summon Isabella. She can be my Gorvenis, as like Batman had Alfred as his butler. Huntress is also human, but she's from the DC world. One cannot underestimate any hero or villain there. She will be more useful summoned as well. Summoned women only, huh? Hector? I'm starting to see a pattern here. Well, I'll probably summon Muichiro or Jace. In fact, on a second thought, I'll just summon Muichiro. Jace I will assimilate. He is also a technological genius. And I will gain his Hextech hammer. Muichiro is from Kimetsu no Yaiba, the youngest Hashira and descendant of the family who can use sun breathing. TCH. I'm almost thinking in assimilate him too. But I can gain Yoriichi, Tanjiro, or Kokushibo in the future. I can't assimilate them all. I need capable hands to help me. And the big wins of the night. Katakuri and Starkiller. Two powerhouses in their own right. Obviously, they're not planetary level or anything. But Starkiller is very close. If I get to 100% with them, no one who doesn't have godlike power can win against me in direct confrontation. Now, let's take a look in the items. Kaneki mask. Ugh, well, not everything can be good. Special Fire Force uniform is almost a useless. Is not my style, but maybe I can study to make better fireproof. Vest. The Duras knife is surprising good. I remember it. It's a kitchen knife made from the teeth of a super strong dragon-like creature, the Duras in this case, and even Komatsu the wimpy chef sliced through an entire hall, making a fissure in the floor when he brandished it. Ika series, well, at least I will finally know what's written in Theses thing. Palantry from Lord of the Rings, a batch of crystals balls that allows me to communicate over long distances and has other uses like scrying and see visions. Well, they're cell phones here, you know. There are 8 in total. It might be useful to not have my communication spied on by a third party. And now we come to the fun part. The Jackal, Alucard pistol from Helsing and M41, a pulse rifle from the Alien vs Predator series. Damn, these things pack a punch. And since they came from Gacha, they will always have ammo. Maybe it's my American side talking, but I love big guns. It also has 2 powers that I can get right now. Demon Blood Art, Infinity Castle, and Miss Militia powers. The 2 can be acquired with no problem. I thought that maybe there would have complications like with the stand made in heaven. Because I'm not a demon and I don't have the Miss Militia card. But I can use right off the bat. In Miss Militia's case, I'm not gaining her shard, just her power. Or a copy of it. That's good. In the world of Worm, shards carry a lot of problems. It wouldn't be worth absorbing that power if that were the case. And about Demon Blood Art, despite the name, it doesn't seem to be restricted only to Kimetsu no Yaiba demons. Well, it's a very useful power. A pocket dimension as a base is excellent. And Miss Militia's power is very versatile. She has a semi-sentient blur of energy that can form ordinary weapons. Like a watered version of the Green Lantern ring. And damn, I've gained so many consumables, many things, and they look super useful. There's even an assimilation slot. Nice. And many power boost cards. Let's organize a little. Power boost card X10, and 01 more that I didn't use previously, 700 CP in total. Weakness removal card X03 movie setting travel ticket superpower store CYOA shonen setting travel ticket, mid-tier /1 month, with this one is 2 in total, but this is mid-level. Character assimilation slot custom visual powers perk imbue card mechanic first, the power boost card, CP, and travel tickets. I already know what they are. Only now I have one of the tickets for a movie. The stay time is the length of the movie or 120 minutes. I choose It might be an opportunity to spend years in another world training, but apparently I can't use Gacha during my stay with tickets. So that option is out. The weakness removal card, as the name implies, allows me to remove an inherent weakness from a card. If I win a Kryptonian or a vampire, I can use it to take away the weaknesses of race or powers. But I can't remove limitations. For example, Kryptonians still need solar radiation. But I will remove their weakness to kryptonite. I had such high hopes for the CYOA superpower store, but the powers are low level at best, and full of limitations. They would be strong in a world like of the boys, not here in Marvel. But there are some resistances that interest me. To poisons and mental attacks. I will look more carefully later. The jackpot for these consumables was the character assimilation slot. Now I have 3. Perfect. The other 2 are more or less useful. The custom visual powers perk allows me to change the appearance of my powers. Like a change from the visual effects of the powers I have. No change in strength. As an example, I can make energy attacks any color I want. It's good to have consistency. It would be annoying to look like a rainbow while I fight. I have to fight with style at least. And it can also help to disguise some things. To not be so obvious. I think if I use the Machi no Mi, I won't need it to be a white sticky substance. Like cover my enemies in white stuff. Maybe it's not so bad if the opponent is a woman. This perk is not a vital thing, but it helps. Finally, the imbue card mechanic allows me to use a card in other people. Not useful to me now, that is worried about amassing personal power. But in the future, if I have a repeated card, I can use in a subordinate. Obviously, if I use it, I will only use it on summons from the gacha. That I know they will be loyal. Or I can choose to use a character card in another character card that I have more affinity. I would be annoyed with someone like Issei by my side, but now if I receive 2 of them, I can use in someone that I like. Giving they powers without having to deal with their annoying personalities can be a good reward system to my underlings in the future. And to no let weak cards became obsolete. Loyal weak people will have their chance. Now I have much work to do. Thanks for reading this far. I was very happy for all the positive feedback. I will try to answer everything that you guys comment. I hope you all enjoyed the chapter. And if you have any character, power, or item ideas that can be gained by gacha, I'll be happy to take notes. Also, if you have any obscure Marvel sagas or characters, something from a cartoon or comic you read a long time ago, you can give an idea. I can use it in the story. I want to write about beyond the MCU. Help me make a unique story. Thank you very much. Stay safe, you guys. We can't become what we need to be by remaining what we are. Oprah Winfrey. The first thing to do is absorb the cards that give abilities, and it's okay to absorb now. The character assimilation slot, custom visual perk, imbue card mechanic, Miss Militia shard power, superpower store, and the surprisingly OP Minecraft inventory. The Minecraft inventory is self-explanatory, a game-like inventory with 36 slots, and 9 of these slots can be used for quick access, even staying floating in my line of sight if I want. And I just willed to the object be brought to my hand. Very useful. It's not even 10 PM yet. I can't resist. I'm going to escape to test my new skills in the forest. Leaving my room, I'm going to get a portable lamp and put it in my new inventory. The lamp enters with no problems. Nice. Returning to my room, I take the blanket and place it parallel to the wall with me in the middle, using D4C. I already find myself in the forest where I always train. I can use D4C much better now that I've fully assimilated Funny Valentine. In fact, I feel like I can go to other universes too. But I see no reason to test it now. When I focus on that power, I can see the ramifications of the multiverse and the places I can go. But I cannot, with just one look, judge whether that universe is good or bad. Crazy shit could be happening there. Better not to risk it. Doctor Strange, in the last movie I watched, said that the multiverse is a concept about which we know frighteningly little. Better not go traveling and encounter a universe dominated by Null or something. Taking the lamp out of the inventory, I decide to change location and go to the waterfall for the first time. After about 10-15 minutes of running between the trees, I find myself in an open place with the constant sound of water falling. The Carvalho Farm waterfall is not one of the highest. I believe it must be between 40 or 50 meters. But seeing it up close, you can't help but be impressed. The crescent moon in the sky illuminates the open space and reflects in the water, giving more luminosity than I expected. I move to a nearby rock that can double as a chair, place the portable lamp on the ground, and open the gacha screens to start using the cards. I will assimilate the strongest characters first. 1/4 gacha points, 2 general gacha in setting gacha, Marvel, manga/anime/novel, Japanese, gacha mode 2/4 Hector Bellucci de Carvalho race, human character assimilation fully assimilated, funny Valentine. Batman in progress, Charlotte Katakuri 0.2% Starkiller-0.3% Miles Morales 0.6% Summoned characters, none powers, source of all living matter, Minecraft inventory, Miss Militia power shard, and I decided to leave only separate powers, instead of listing all the characters' powers. That's why I removed D4C. So it's fair to consider that if the character has a power, so does the MC, or at least has the potential to have it, depending on the percentage of assimilation. Perks, custom visual powers, imbue card mechanic equipped items, none others, chakra books, unstable molecule suit, EDI biomech suit V2.0 non-used cards, characters Shago, Kim Possible, Flurkin, Pet, Marvel, Loki, Earth 199999/MCU, Package, Arcane Jace, League of Legends, Huntress, Helena. Bertinelli, DC Comics, Tokaido Muchiro, Kimetsu no Yaiba, Miyata Ichiro, Hajime no Ippo, Nagachika Hideyoshi, Tokyo Ghoul, Busujima Psycho, High School of the Dead, Yagami Light, Death Note, Isabella, Yakusako no Neverland. Items, Sword of Actuation, Berserk, Batch of Heart-Shaped Herb Zeta Flight Space Station, Earth 25271, Neutralizer Gun Kaneki Mask, Tokyo Ghoul, Special Fire Force. Field Uniform, Enin no Shaobutai, Duras Kitchen Knife, Toriko, Ika Series, Naruto, Murasame, Akame Ga Kill. -13mm Auto Anti-Freak Combat Pistol, Jackal, Helsing, Palantry, Lord of the Rings, M41A Pulse Rifle, Alien vs Predator, Powers and Abilities Made in Heaven Stand, JJBASO, Demon Blood Art, Infinity Castle Consumable Shonen Setting Travel Ticket, Low Tier /1 month. Shonen Setting Travel Ticket, Mid Tier /1 month. Power Boost Card X11 Background Customization Card X05 Movie Setting Travel Ticket Weakness Removal Card X0344 CO Options, CO Points, 1150 Simplified Marvel CO Superpower Store CYOA. I'm finally assimilating people with superhuman physical capabilities, no wonder the percentage starts so low. I decided not to absorb the Infinity Castle power after reading the description. Demon Blood Art, Infinity Castle using a room of at least 4mx4mx4n as a base, the user can use this ability to grow infinite other rooms or spaces connected with the base space. The user also possesses dominion over the space, being able to manipulate and alter it at will. The user can also spawn portals at any location to transport people outside the fortress or to anywhere within it. So I need a place to start my Infinity Fortress. I will probably use my basement. But I also don't know if I need to keep concentrating all the time to make the place grow. If so, it would be better to delegate to a subordinate. Anyway, I won't use it now, so will stay as a card for the moment. Now bringing my attention to the items in front of me. After having used the characters' cards, because in the case of Starkiller it's a package, I now have some of his robes and even Starkiller Sith armor on hand. Very cool by the way. And not 1 or 2, but 4 lightsabers. 2 reds and 2 blues. Oh my god. I almost have a nerdy-gasm. Picking up 2 lightsabers I light them up. K-Pistch, is there anything cooler than that? I begin to sway in the air, testing, and feeling familiarity returning to my body. Undoubtedly Starkiller card in effect. Zwoon, an. This isn't lightsaber noise, just the MC mouthing OUE and being retarded. I switch the grip mode to a reverse grip and stab the lightsaber into the rock I was sitting on previously. It passes smoothly like a stick in wet sand. Okay, let's stop fooling around. Otherwise I'll be here all night with just the lightsabers. Storing all of Starkiller things in my Minecraft inventory, I shift my attention to testing the abilities I've gained from the cards. Let's start with the Force. I close my eyes, trying to feel the Force. It comes naturally to me. I don't think this universe has a Force. But I can use it without any problems, as if I had a force seed in myself instead of having a connection with an exterior form of power. Good to know this. There's no speed force in Marvel, so if I gain the Flash I won't have any problems. And I won't have to worry about other people getting access to my powers that come from external dimensions. Yes, Doom. I'm talking to you. Opening my eyes and exhaling, I place my hands in front of my body and push. The waterfall stops and starts to rise. Am I Shiryu? I didn't expect to be so strong at first. Starkiller is 2 up. But my control is missing. I'm not gently leading the water from the waterfall through the air. The water is exploding upwards, and in various directions as if the water is slamming into an invisible wall. Stopping using the force, I relax my shoulders and watch the waterfall return to normal, and the water in the air begins to fall like a small rain. Continuing with my tests, I try to use force lightning, but to no avail. I try other tricks and special moves I've seen in games, like condensing the force on myself and release like a omnidirectional blast, but no success again. I think the percentage is too low, huh? Come to think of it, I could use D4C from the start. But a low percentage doesn't just mean less strength in the powers, it means that some powers and more complicated techniques are impossible to replicate. That's where training comes in. To speed up assimilation. To test the theory I try to use Haki. I can feel something similar to the force. But I can't cover my body, my eyes with this. I shift my focus to Miles' card, and I can't use electricity or turn invisible either. I approach a tree and jump. I touch my hand into the bark of the tree and it stays there, glued to it. But basic skills is okay, huh? I start to climb Spider-Man style. When I reach the top I sit on a branch that can support me and focus on my hand. Machi begins to be secreted from my hand. I move it from side to side. I make a ball, a rope, and then more ropes and start playing with my Machi manipulation. Machi no Mi is a paramecia. Katakuri can transform into Machi because he has awakened his devil fruit. I'm nowhere near replicating that feat yet. Controlling the Machi, I send it as fast as possible to a nearby tree. Then the tree is split in half. At least the strength is considerable. Speaking of strength, I jump off the tree and land on the ground with no problems. And I head towards the tree I just destroyed. I watch the lower half of the trunk, which is still rooted to the ground, and grab it with both hands and pull. The whole thing pops out of the ground like I'm pulling a carrot, not a tree much thicker than my torso. My physical attributes are already high. Higher assimilation percentages will give me more experience and control of the characters, and with this unlock new abilities and skills. There are probably techniques that have strength requirements too, which I haven't reached yet. As expected. Looking at the fallen tree on the ground, I grab it with one hand and toss it into the river like a twig. I am much stronger. I hope I don't grow to 5m tall like Katakuri. After that, I reach the power of Miss Militia, the energy that can transform into weapons. The green blur thing comes out of my hand and becomes a Beretta M9, a military knife, AK-47, bazooka M1A1. Easy to use, very intuitive. While I'm at it I'll try to change the look with my perk. I can also easily change color to red, yellow, pink. I can even put some effects like electricity running over the weapon or light particles. There is no change in power, just visual, but it's cool anyway. After that I decided to check the superpower store CYOA more closely. There are several types of powers, physical, mental, kinetic, and even some items. The most expensive are 400 CP and the cheapest 100 CP. I think I'll just buy the resistances. It has resistance to poison, mind control and others. The level is not very high, someone much stronger can probably overcome these resistances. But it's a start. If I were on a lower level world, these powers would be cheats. As an example it has a time control power. But it's pretty restrictive. I would make a bubble around me where everything would move at half speed. It would be more support than special move, only in a world like. I just have the craziest idea? I look at a lot of my cards and think maybe it will work. If it works, I have the potential to become a powerhouse. I will need the travel ticket and lots of power boost cards. I will test it after I get back to New York. This plan in my head would solve a lot of my problems. But if I took a month off now, my grandparents would notice differences in my body. By the way, I was forgetting something. I walked to the river and put my leg in it. and a feeling of weakness rises through my body. Devil fruit weaknesses, huh? And I can't use my Machi no Mi anymore. But I can use other powers without problem. So falling in the water is not game over for me. I can use other abilities to escape. But weakness isn't something that I want. I use a weakness removal card without hesitation. After that I put my leg back in the water and the weakness doesn't come anymore. And I can generate Machi without any problems. Nice. I don't know the limit, like there are natural weaknesses. Can I remove a fire power weakness against water? These are laws of nature. Probably just unnatural weaknesses like these from the werewolves, vampires, and the like. I think I'll go back and do my daily meditation session. Steady and always. Improve my mental defenses. I want to know. Now the difference. After all, I have an individual force sensitive being assimilated. Next day yet, just like that. You press on the neck and pull the trigger. My grandfather instructs me. No, I'm not killing anyone. I'm helping to vaccinate the cattle on the farm. I don't need to put it in a vein or something. I ask. No, any place will do. The vaccine will be absorbed by the meat itself. He answers me. So wouldn't it be better to put it somewhere else that would hurt less? The neck is so fragile. I keep asking questions. That's true, but we need to make a little profit too, right? On the neck it prevents damage to the meat, such as bruises and abscesses. And it makes it difficult for the cow to access it, so it doesn't bite or lick to get infected. He responds, making a lot of sense. It's true, neck meat is the least valuable, so it wouldn't be a problem if it was damaged. It would be stupid to damage a more expensive place. After another hour in the routine, we are now returning home to the farm. We are on horseback. It is quite relaxing to ride a horse leisurely in nature. That group looked pretty bad. I comment, referring to the cattle that I just vaccinated. Those are sick, so they're in a separate area to avoid contaminating others. He replies. Isn't a cattle vaccine expensive? Is it okay to spend it on cattle that might not survive? I ask, a little surprised. In large quantities, vaccine is expensive, yes. And half of that group won't survive, he replies to me with a sigh. But I'm not doing this for the ones who will die, I'm doing this for the ones who will survive. They are fighting this harm that afflicts them. The least I can do is give each of them a chance, right? He wisely responds to me while smiling. I think you're right, Grandpa. I reply after a while. Give everyone a chance, huh? After a comfortable silence, my grandfather resumes the conversation. So did you think about what your grandmother and I offer? You can live with us if you want, he says, looking straight ahead. I thought, and I still think I need to get back to New York. I answer. This has been a more or less frequent topic of discussion. My grandmother being the most vocal in wanting me here. Right, he just says. Only that? Aren't you going to try to convince me or something? I ask, a little surprised. I hope you're not taking it personally, grandfather. I love you both. But there are still things to do in New York. I hope you understand. I try to explain myself. Ha ha ha. Don't worry, I'm not feeling hurt, if that's what you're worried about, he says, laughing out loud as he approaches with the horse to grab my shoulder. I don't know about all of your circumstances, my son. But I trust that you'll make the best choice. In USA you will have more opportunities, better education. The little bird needs to leave the nest at some time, he says, smiling. I just want to say two things. The first is that if you're tired, angry, depressed, those things, you can come here anytime. Our doors will always be open to you, my son. He says, seriously looking into my eyes now. And the second is a little piece of advice. He begins. Look at this whole place. Big, huh? He turns to the farm, opening his arms. I nod. I can't keep this place alone. Many people help me here, your grandmother, my employees, friends. I understand you better than you think, Hector. You're like your father, you like to do things alone. Keep it to yourself and work on it internally. He looks at me again. And he is not wrong. But if you want to have great achievements, you're going to need help. He concludes. You didn't tell us anything about any friends or girlfriends in New York, so you probably don't have anyone you'd trust with your eyes closed there, right? He continues, bullseye. I want you to open up a little more to people. At least try to find someone who can watch your back. You will be alone a world away from us. That's why your grandmother worries so much. And we, in our simple lives, can't even imagine the problems of a big city like New York. He finishes, looking deeply into my eyes. Freeubnovel.com. I understand his concern. Unfortunately, there are things I cannot share. There's only one thing I can talk about right now. I will try, Grandpa. Can't promise any success. But I will try. That's all I need to hear, Hector, he says, smiling relieved. After a comfortable silence, he opens his mouth again. Race home? Whoever wins gets more of grandmother's cake, he asks, starting to accelerate his horse and laughing out loud. Not the cake, your old fox. It's on, old man, I accept the challenge. He bursts out laughing and darts forward. Fuck. Damn cowboy, I lose that race badly. But my grandfather didn't mind me eating as much cake as he did, even though he won the race. Unknown place in the 9 realms. In a brightly lit room, a blonde woman in a green dress that does not hide her impressive curves is lying on a comfortable couch. She is reading an old and thick book that is floating, and from time to time small exotic fruits float into her mouth from a bowl nearby. If anyone from Earth were to observe this room, the first thing they would think is a movie set for a Harry Potter movie or something like that. On one wall are books old and incredibly thick. On another wall are items that wouldn't be out of place at a Renaissance fair. There is also a huge painting of the same woman on one wall, exposing her narcissism. Don't you know it's not elegant to sneak into a lady's chambers? The woman asks, apparently to nothing, but at the same time she shoots a beam of green light from her fingertips in a seemingly random direction. Before the beam reaches the wall, however, it is dissipated by an invisible force. And is it a good form of greeting to cast a spell on a guest? A male voice reveals itself, along with a tall man with long black hair that reaches his shoulders, also dressed in green, but with golden highlights. If you're the guest, Loki, now, get out. The woman speaks without even giving a glance at the man, who identifies himself as Loki, the god of mischief. That's it? We can't even have a little chat? It's been so long since we've seen each other. Amora. Loki is unfazed by Amora's unfriendly attitude. Nothing from you can be good. Loki, you just destroyed my good mood for the day. But I'm curious. Where have you been these past few years? Since that incident with the frost giants, you and Thor have disappeared from Asgard. Daddy ground you boys? Amora asks, looking at Loki for any reaction. Loki's smiling face only changes for a fraction of an instant, but he soon resumes his smile and answers back. Worried about your dear Thor? I thought you would have gotten over it by, how many were there anyway? 300 rejections. Loki says, feigning innocence. Out? Get out? I don't know what kinds of tricks or schemes were formed in that twisted god of mischief head of yours, but I want nothing to do with you. Amora angrily exclaims. The neglect she receives from Thor has always been a sore spot in her mind. Her, the most beautiful woman of all 9 realms, rejected by a man. She and Thor are meant to be together. Strength, beauty, status. The two combine perfectly. What if I say that my tricks and schemes can give you what you crave so much? Thor. Loki replies with a sweet voice. I'm listening. Amora speaks after a moment. Loki gave his first real smile since he walked into that room. Hello, guys and gals. I read some comments and reviews and will address a few things here. Some people will complain that the last chapter was just an internal monologue. Well, there wasn't much he could do when he was thinking about his options. But I've listened to you and I understand that it can get pretty boring, so I'll try to add more dialogue. And if it's not possible, I'll try to switch to other P.O.V.S like Loki and Amora at the end of this chapter. I saw a review that the story is incomprehensible. English is my third language, BAS is really that bad. Damn, I'm bad. I will try to study more. And about the Wrestley's schedule. I'm on vacation for now. That's why I write as much as I can. But I think I'll stick to 2 chapters a week. Try 4K words per chapter. I need to research plus and characters too. I think that's all. Thank you for all the love. I know the story is not perfect, but I was happy to post and see how many people liked it. Thank you very much. Till next time. I don't have time to worry if it's right or wrong. You can't hope for a horror story with a happy ending. Aaron Yeager. And do you know what the secret ingredient is? My grandma asks as I help her stir the cream to a dessert. It's a double-decker, vanilla and chocolate confection. And it is necessary that the two are mixed simultaneously for the consistency to be perfect. You're not going to tell me it's love, are you, Grandma? I send it back playfully while rolling my eyes. Because if it is, I'm sure it's going to get bad with me mixing this. My spider sense warns that something is coming towards my head at high speed, but I don't dodge. It is not necessary. Paf, no, you silly, she says, putting back the cloth she uses to smack me on her shoulder. You add a little guava jam between the 2 layers. It is used to stick and leaves a good aftertaste in the mouth, even after you finish eating. I see, I say, concentrating on moving my part clockwise, constant speed, wooden spoon at a 60 angle, the edges scrape the bottom to avoid sticking. Spider sense flaring. Paf, no need to concentrate so much, you're not defusing a bomb, she says, putting the cloth back on her shoulders again. Not everything needs such precise instructions, Hector. You have to feel, she says, advising me. I don't have all that talent for listening to the voice of ingredients. I'm concentrating so I don't mess it up, I reply, knowing the Toriko reference will go straight through her head. It's not talent, just practice. When you do something often, it becomes natural. You don't have to think so hard, she tells me. Beauty said something about love before, she says, raising an eyebrow. Have you had any experience there in New York? Did some girl break your heart? Why don't you vent to your dear grandma here? She makes a barrage of questions, smiling. I stop. Is that why you called me to mix this up? To lock me in here and ask about my love life? Damn it. She's good. What can I do? If you avoid my questions like the devil from the cross when I ask about your girlfriends, she says, shrugging her shoulders. There are no girlfriends, grandmother, I say, rolling my eyes. And there's no one you're interested in, she persists. Nah, if you want a serious answer. In my high school has some interesting girls. Gwendoline Stacy, Liz Allen, Betty Brandt, the 2 MJs. 2 MJs, she asks, confused. Mary Jane and Michelle Jones. Those 5 would be the only ones I would be interested in. And why don't you make a move on these girls? She asks. Curiously. Gwendoline have a crush on a acquaintance. And he has a crush on her back. MJ1 and Liz are from a group I don't want to get involved in. The jocks. Sigh, just remembering that I'm going to have to get involved with these guys again. Maybe I should give Flash Thompson a beating for a smooth school life. Nah, I'm the bigger man. I don't need to bully him back. What about Michelle and this Betty? My grandmother asks, seeing that I was silent for a second without continuing. Betty is too normal and MJ2 is annoying, I just say. Well, Hector, I think you need to take more chances. No girl is perfect, you can try with one at least. Relax. A little experience will help you, she says. I gasp exaggeratedly. Grandma, are you telling me to have fun with women? Fooling around? Be a player? I ask, scandalized. That's not what I meant, she responds, outraged. Aha, you already said, you can't take it back. Now I will fall into the path of depravity. And if someone asks me, I'll say that my grandma instructed me. Spider sense again. Paf Hector Bellucci de Carvalho. I did not say that. And if you go around spreading your bullshit and falling into the path of depravity, you'll find yourself having to deal with me, she replies, accentuating each word with an onslaught of her powerful dish towel. Ouch. Ouch. Okay, I must have heard things. Sorry, Grandma, I say, calm her down. After that we had a good laugh. And we finished the dessert. As I look out the window, I wonder what I'm going to do when I get back to New York. I'll be back tomorrow. It's been 2 days since the last gacha and only Miles has reached 10%. Progress is much slower than I expected. The cards I'm assimilating are people with a lot of superhuman abilities. Valentine and Batman are only human in body. Valentine has his stand and Batman has all that experience and knowledge. But normal humans in body. I feel like everything Batman knows is here in my head. But I still need to re-experience it in order to use it effectively. Knowledge usually comes during sleep or study. It has been a strange feeling to study languages. I start, and it feels like I'm relearning. I see a car engine, and I remember about the name and functionality of all the parts, and better ways to fix or boost the car. I thought the knowledge would already have been implanted in my mind when I got to 100%. But I think it's a defense mechanism to my mind. This redundant way of giving me theoretical knowledge is to protect my sense of being apparently. After all, I don't have any memories of banging Catwoman or individual fights with the Joker. But I know how to fight naturally. And it looks different with powers. I have to do it the hard way. So I finally plan on using a travel ticket when I get back. Before high school starts, of course, so my grandparents can't see the possible changes in my body, and new people will only have a reference to myself from months ago. I will use the ticket on Sunday, the day before high school. I will spend Friday traveling, and Saturday I'll get ready, arranging things to put in my inventory and take away. The plan I have in mind is morally dark gray. No, is downright villainous. I can't fool myself or make excuses. I will act like an asshole if the plan works. But there is a possibility that in the end I can redeem myself. But there are so many ifs that it's not even funny. TCH. I will do things for my maximum benefit. I don't have the luxury of thinking too much right now. For all I know, Galactus can arrive today. What do you think about so much? My grandmother speaks, catching my attention. Think? Can't I just be watching the scenery? I respond by deflecting. No. When you think about complicated things, you have the habit of putting your index finger and thumb on your chin, and supporting your elbow with the other hand. I find myself taking both fingers off my chin. I hadn't noticed, I say. Slowly I was thinking about the future grandma. She doesn't say anything, just watches me, waiting for me to continue. I was thinking about graduating early, to get into college, and I really will. In this world it is much more common. I remember there was a character here who entered the MIT with 10 years. Riri Williams, the Iron Heart Mary Sue. I can't advise you on that, my dear. She begins, personally I would like you to make friends your age. Make the most of your youth. You won't get it back, you know. I understand what she means. Makes sense. But I think I'll go for it anyway. I feel like I'm wasting my time in high school, so I look at the watch on my wrist. The last gift from my parents, and time waits for no one. Looks like you've already made up your mind. I hope. You are sure of that, my dear, she says, giving me a kiss on the cheek and walking away. I don't think she liked my idea very much. My grandmother has a view that my happiness is connected with my relationships with other people. She is not wrong. But I have bigger concerns right now. Cursed with knowledge, Hathanos? Now I understand. I would like to be blessed with ignorance too. Next day. Do you have everything? Don't forget anything. My grandmother asks before I go to take the bus to the airport. No, Grandma. I have everything. I answer. Today I return to New York. I'm scheduled to arrive only for the night. The stay here was good. But vacation is over. Oh my dear, I will miss you so much. My grandmother says, hugging me tightly, with a hint of tears in the eyes. You can come back anytime, you know. Yes, I will come. Visit you guys when I have the chance. I answer. My parting with my grandfather is much more rigid. He pats me on the shoulder and wishes me a good trip. Looks cold, but that's his style. I'm used to it. I know that he cares. After one last wave, I board the bus to the airport. It will be hours and hours sitting and confined. This time I will have something to study. I am currently finishing relearning Japanese. So easy. A few hours and I'm already learning a language. Batman Assimilation for the win. Huff, finally home. How can stand still be so tiring? I trained and trained every day, with a maximum of 5 hours of sleep, sometimes much less, and I never felt this tired. I think because of Card Titan power, which has high amount of stamina, and Batman himself. But this trip has tired me mentally, that I just want to drop in the bed and not think about anything else. Today's is Friday. Tomorrow I will look for things I need for my trip to the world of anime. eubnovlo.com, ending up texting Aunt Chris, Foggy and Matt, telling them that I'm in New York. And I go do my daily meditation to end the day. Saturday: fabrics, spray paints, food, medical kits, multi-purpose ferments, and many others. I personally went to buy all these things. Home delivery isn't used much on this year, so it would take too long, especially on the weekend. When I get home, I start working on my costume. The base is the unstable molecule suit that I bought at Gacha. I complement it with my newly developed utility belt. My utility belt is thick with 12 evenly spaced cylinders. Each cylinder is 1 inch in diameter and can hold small things like smoke bombs, transmitters, pills, syringes, trackers, and others. Between each cylinder is a compartment for bigger things like my smartphone, shurikens, and small weapons. Other than that, I'm wearing a black hooded cloak. I know. No capes. Sorry, Edna. But my cloak has functionality. At first he's sitting on my shoulders loose, so even if cling somewhere I can get away easily. Second, a cape has the effect of making you bigger and more intimidating. I know because of Batman uses this way too. Third, I can use D4C together with it like Valentine uses the American flag. Fourth, I can hide my body so the enemy doesn't know my next move. I can pull a weapon from my inventory or turn my hand into something with Machi. Looses. Clothes is to hide something. People who have nothing to hide prefer more form-fitting clothes. That won't get in the way. Fifth, pockets. I can put in multiple pockets. Pockets are great. I know I have an inventory, but you never have too many pockets. And also test Minecraft inventory. I can store huge quantities of raw material, but unique items are a problem. I spend a slot just for my smartphone or a gun. Like in the Minecraft game. Well, advantages and disadvantages, everything has some. Finishing with my costume, I'm going to paint my weapons. Using spray paint I turn black various objects that I will use. Not because I'm edgy, but to not reflect light and give my position. My costume is basically black with some matte gray parts. Very Batman-like and not even on purpose. Sunday. Today is the day. Time to use the travel ticket. I'll go early in the morning, so when I get back I'll have the whole day to rest. I don't know what situation I'll be back in. But the world I'm going to isn't difficult. If all goes well, I'll be back unharmed. Even if my primary objective is not accomplished, I will have a lot to gain there. The assimilation progress of my cards is very slow, more than 5 days and still at 10%. If it continues like this, it is from my experience that with higher percentages they take longer. It will take me at least 3 months to finish. I wonder if assimilating 3 at once is slowing the process down. Anyway, where I go I'll fight. And it will probably help me with assimilation. Besides that there are no gods or higher beings there to keep an eye on me. Time to let go little. Stops holding back. Suiting up, I use the shonen setting travel ticket, low tier /1 month, without hesitation, and choose the time and place to appear. Hey guys and gals. Next chapter will start the arc in an anime world. The MC is going to make big gains there. Let's talk a little about harem. First, I think it's a natural conclusion. When you can summon people of various fictions, so I believe that 95% would have some romantic relationship with some summons. This is not to say that the MC will only summon women and that all of them will be in his harem. I'll try to make it work, make sense and be realistic. It will be a slow process. So you won't see any action for now. I also don't know if I'll add Marvel girls in the middle. I think is improbable. For them to be okay with sharing, they would have to have very unique senses of value. Like aliens, gods, queens. Also on the invocations, I'm working on them being loyal and still keeping the personality. I don't want it to be total mind control. Each summon will have their own personality and will be loyal, but they will also have their own ambitions and goals, which will not bring any harm to the MC. For example, someone evil might try to influence the MC to dominate the world. Someone good would try to inspire him to do good things. But relax, the MC is not easily manipulated, and he will be careful about summoning. Now I also saw some comments that the MC progressed too fast. Well, I don't agree. The initial premise of the series is that the Gacha essence was up. And I won't regret it and nerf the MC never. But I want you guys to know that the power levels of the world he is in are comic-like ridiculous. He will be up, but not invincible. With prepare, maybe he is. Batman bullshit you know. But even with the upgrades he will receive on this trip he will have, I can think of several Marvel characters that can face him head-on. They are in the MC's world, hidden and can have conflict with him at any time. I'll list some: Apocalypse, Selene Gallio, High Evolutionary, Blue Marvel, Ms. Marvel, Hulk, Very Angry, Thor, with full memories, and many others. Not to mention in other dimensions and space. Mephisto, Odin, Gladiator. What I mean is the MC will have no problems with low-level characters. He will destroy them. The real enemies will be the top tier. So don't worry he's getting stronger too fast. That's all for now. Until later. They call certain methods of fighting good and others evil, acting as if there were some nobility to the battlefield. Such illusions, perpetrated by heroes throughout history, have led countless young men to their bloody deaths, all for the sake of this valor and glory. Kiritsugu Emiya. Third POV. In an open space with several buildings, some intact and others destroyed, two groups are facing each other in two separate fights. The first fight is between a man in a suit and a black mask facing a tall, muscular, blonde man in a tight-fitting suit and predominantly colored with blue. The second fight is of a young man with spiky blonde hair dressed in black who appears to be avoiding several other individuals. The blonde duo appear to be at a disadvantage, because of the numbers and because the muscular man in blue looks worried about the other young blonde. Unknown to the two groups fighting, their confrontation is being watched by two other groups. The third group is formed by 5 young people, 4 men and 1 woman, and they seem to be discussing a plan to break the deadlock of the first 2 groups. The fourth group is made up of just 1 person, a figure in black, with a hood and a cloak with 2 openings in the front, resembling a big poncho. Not even a millimeter of the figure can be seen through its wide cloak. This figure watches all 3 groups patiently from the top of a nearby building. He doesn't show any surprise when a large iceberg suddenly appears and 3 of the youths from the third group fly over the battlefield to rescue the blonde youth. The hooded figure's eyes, if anyone could see it, are focused on the 2 left behind. One of them created the ice platform and the other is the only female in the third group. As the 2 begin to walk away from the battlefield in the opposite direction, the hooded figure follows them pulling out a futuristic-looking gun seemingly out of nowhere. Todoroki Shodo POV. Let's go, Yayo Rozo. We did everything we could, we broke the rules, but in the end I believe it was for a good reason. Without our interference Bakugo would eventually be captured and put All Might at an even more disadvantage. I will accept any punishment when this is all over. Do you think that everyone is gonna be okay? Yayo Rozo asks me as she follows me closely. Now we can only trust that Bakugo will manage to escape safe and sound and that All Might will defeat the leader of the League of Villains. I answer looking around. I think we're already at a safe distance. That's when it happened. Faster than Yayo Rozo and I could react. We were hit by 2 energy attacks almost simultaneously. I instinctively throw myself towards Yayo Rozo to protect her from any subsequent attacks. But nothing else comes. Todoroki-kun, are you okay? Yayo Rozo asks me in alarm. I'm fine, actually I don't feel anything wrong. And you? I ask back. And I'm really fine. Did the attack miss? Was it harmless? No, it must have some effect that I don't know about yet. Yayo Rozo, stay alert. The attacker is still out there. Did you take any damage? Check the effect of the attack. I speak seriously while taking cover and looking around. I don't feel any different, Todoroki-san. Wait. My quirk. She starts to say in alarm. Can't use your quirk, a voice asks coming just a few feet away from us. How did he approach without being noticed? I was fully alert. Wait. Did the last attack affect our quirks? Trying to summon ice or fire from my hands, nothing comes out either. This is bad. You can't use it either, right? The figure slowly approaches and now I see that it is a person wearing a hooded cloak. That is great. I mean, my theory was right. The chance of success of my primary objective has increased considerably now. The figure keeps saying to itself. What goal? Who are you? I exclaim, trying to buy time and signal for Yayo Rozo to flee. One of us needs to warn the heroes about this secret enemy. He can change the course of battle if he has a quirk like Aizawa-sensei's. This is just only myself to know and you guys to figure out. Now I'd appreciate it if you guys don't resist while I capture the 2 of you. I don't want to hurt any of you, the figure says, approaching Yayo Rozo. Now, I scream as I run towards the enemy. At least I'll buy time. Trying to be the hero, huh? Hang on. You really are. Well, anyway, the figure says, and a black mass starts to come out and expand under the mantle and towards us at amazing speed. Wasn't his quirk an energy attack that suppressed quirks? Or does he have 2? I don't find the answer before being enveloped by the dark mass. From the corner of my eye, I see Yayo Rozo suffering the same fate before losing consciousness. All Might POV. United States of Smyash. Boom, it's over. It's finally over. My battle against All for One is finally over. Both my battle tonight and my lifelong war ended with that last smash. With that I finally rest. The League of Villains may have escaped, but without All for One they lost their head. We managed to buy time. With that I will be able to watch the little zygotes develop into complete heroes, which I know they will one day become. We can entrust the future to them. Well, that's embarrassing. I hear a voice coming from below me, but you blew a big hole with that last punch. There's nothing nearby for me to use to move around. This is your fault, All Might. Nice punch, by the way. I'm a big fan. A hooded figure emerges from between my legs. I see him move a hand towards the fallen All for One. An ally of All for One? I can't let him rescue him. Everything will be for naught. But I don't have the strength to move anymore. Move, body. One for all. One last time? Don't move, All Might. I don't want you dead, the hooded man says as he points a long and jet black pistol at my face. I mean, if you force yourself, you could end up drop dead alone. You're pretty hurt, you know? Just be quiet there. After he says that, he removes the pistol from my face. But a restraining, invisible force wraps around my arms and legs, holding me in place. I'm being held telekinetically apparently. Is that his quirk? But how did he appear out of nowhere so close to me? Did he have another quirk given to him by All for One? I helplessly watch this new enemy place his hand on the head of the fallen All for One for a few moments and then withdraw. Ha ha ha, it works? I almost can't believe this. He starts to laugh to himself. I keep looking between this newcomer and All for One and realize the latter has stopped breathing. Did he kill him? Weren't they allies? What's going on here? Hector POV. I'm so glad that the main goal of coming to the world of Boku no Hero Academia was accomplished. It's so stupid and it worked. My plan needed to combine different cards. The idea started when I thought the superpowers given by the superpower store CYOA would only be good in a low-level world like the boys or BNHA. And one of the higher-level powers, which costs 400 CP, allows you to copy a single power nearby. Power copying: you may copy one power within your range. You do not have to be aware of the power to copy it, but have no natural proficiency with it. You can only copy a power for up 72 hours. 1 kilometer range. As I said, this power would be mid-level in Marvel at most. But when I thought how useful he would be in other worlds, the idea popped into my mind. Before being transmigrated, I once thought while watching BNHA, what if Monoma copies All for One and uses it to steal the original? And now I've just applied the same principle. And it worked. Using the travel ticket to come to this world during the All Might vs. All for One fight in Kamino. The only moment that All for One is weakened, because from now on he will be in the safest prison in Japan. Only being released when he has a lot of advantage against the heroes. At the moment, due to the stealth of the operation to rescue Bakugo, few heroes were alerted. Students are not yet trained. Shigaraki did not overcome his psychological traumas, nor did he go through his metamorphosis. This is the ideal time to steal the All for One quirk. And even if I failed, the month I would spend in this world would be very beneficial. I could train, fight enemies with skills to increase the percentage of my characters, use my skills without fear because I'll be leaving in a month anyway, learn about technological advances like robotics, genetics, and others. And even look closely at heroes and villains and learn from them to future reference. And after apply it in Marvel. But everything went well. So, after stealing the original and confirming it's in my powers tab, I'll move on to the second part of the primary objective. Use my power boost cards in the All for One quirk. There's a chance that only works in things that I have gained through an gacha. But works? When I want to use the power boost card, the All for One quirk is in the upgradable options. Ha ha ha, I won't be stingy now. I will use all possible boost cards. When I finish using the 8th, it happens. A prompt appear in my vision. All for One power broke the current limit. All for One power can merge with power copying. The two powers can fuse with X gene of host. Do you want to allow the process? Yes? No? What the heck? This is turning out better than I thought. I had already tested and confirmed that quirks, BNHA, and mutations, Marvel, were similar when I used the neutralizer gun on Todoroki and Yayo Rosa before. The neutralizer gun is a weapon developed by Forge at Marvel and can temporarily suppress mutant powers. Quirks and mutations come from genetic material of that person. They are similar enough to work. Thinking about yes, another prompt appears showing the changes. Power copying and All for One merging with X gene. The fusing of the two powers will awaken host mutation from origin universe. A new power has been awakened. Do you want to name it? Yeah, sure. Let's go with power manipulation for now. Rebooting power manipulation. Power manipulation became an epsilon level mutation. Power manipulation became a gamma level mutation. Power manipulation became a Beta-level mutation power manipulation became an alpha-level mutation power manipulation became an omega-level mutation secondary mutation of host awakening power manipulation. The user can manipulate, steal, copy, cultivate and bestow the supernatural properties in all beings that give them their powers, that are not inherent in their physiology. Secondary mutation: the user is resistant and has high adaptability to supernatural abilities and powers, from himself and others. Holy fuck. Not Hope Summers. Not Apocalypse. Not Nate Gray. Not Franklin Richards. The mutant messiah is me, Hector. I can basically copy all of the superpowers of someone who doesn't come from their race, like Kryptonians and Strontians. If someone has a power that isn't common to all their race, I can have it too. Makes sense. I can't copy a fish's ability to breathe in the water. It's not a superpower, from the fish's point of view. And do I also gain resistance if superpowers are used on me? Or I am resistant to my own powers, like a mechanism to defend myself from my own powers, so that I don't self-destruct. It's kind of like a guy with super strength can punch and not destroy himself, or not burn yourself with his own fire, or not break himself apart when teleporting. This trip was totally worth it. I look at the corpse of All for One. I take all of his quirks, and many of them keep him alive. Sorry, but not sorry. Now I'm in the world where 80% of the population has powers, and with the ability to steal powers. It's like a buffet of all I can eat. Let's move on to the second best quirk. One for all. Spider sense tingling. TCH. All Might POV. The newcomer stood still for a few seconds after he had killed All for One. I don't know what happened, but I feel his aura change, as his danger level increased several times. I can't move, but I can hear the wind cutting from someone approaching at high speed. Gran Torino. He's trying to sneaky attack the hooded figure. The figure appears distracted, looking straight ahead and standing still. So Gran Torino approaches through his blind spot behind the back of his head, but he is stopped as if he has received an invisible punch. Is it the telekinetic quirk again? Then the hooded figure reaches out and pulls Gran Torino towards him and grabs him by the head. But after a few seconds he drops him on the ground, and Gran Torino doesn't move anymore. Gran Torino? What did you do to him, villain? I exclaim. Villain? I think from your point of view I'm a villain. And I also think my actions are pretty vile anyway. I have no excuses. He mutters as if in deep thought. But I'm doing this for my own survival. I'm sorry, he says, and what bothers me is that he really seems to mean it. He doesn't have a sarcastic tone as if mocking my heroic ideals like that All for One constantly used. I want this to end with the least amount of damage possible, All Might, he says, but is interrupted again when Endeavor comes propelled towards him to punch him. A punch? I see. You can't use wide area fire attack because of All Might and the old man, huh? But that was a serious mistake. He speaks as he turns towards Endeavor and redirects his punch in other direction while returning with an uppercut, sending Endeavor high into the air. Sorry number 2, but you have no place on this battlefield. I'm sorry, you are number 1 now. How does it feel to finally acquire what you've always dreamed of effortlessly? Allow me to be the first to congratulate you, the villain says, sarcastically. This seems to annoy Endeavor, who after a mid-air maneuver to stabilize himself launches himself towards the villain again. Flash fire fist, Endeavor speaks while sending a pillar of flame towards the villain. But the villain defends himself by making a cocoon of a black substance. But he now has nowhere to escape. Endeavor will not stop sending fire. He will cook him inside this own cocoon. You didn't think I'd make such an amateur mistake, did you? The villain's voice comes from behind Endeavor. He really can teleport. Receive my first stand rush, saying that he starts sending a barrage of punches at Endeavor that seems to last forever. And when Endeavor is beaten enough he opens his palm and sends out a pulse of air that sends Endeavor away. Doja on. I have things to do now. Go hit your wife or children, or something like that, he says as he looks at Endeavor flying over the horizon. This power. I can't believe it. Yes, All Might. I got All for One to myself now. Thanks for the help, by the way. Now, no. This cannot be happening. Who is this man? What is his relationship with All for One? While I'm thinking, he approaches me and puts his hand on my head. He's trying to steal my quirk. He's trying to steal One for All. He doesn't know that he's not with me anymore. After a few seconds he pulls his hand away. Strange. You don't have a quirk? How is that possible? He says shocked. He does not know. Midoriya Shounen is safe. This man doesn't seem to have good relations with All for One. He seems to think for a while. And starts talking. You know, I overheard you talking with All for One during the fight. He said something about you passing the power on to someone, right? The words I hear make my blood run cold. Hey, come here. Come closer. What he is doing? He's calling the press closer. I have something to say to you. Don't want an exclusive? I will not hurt you guys. If you don't come I will kill All Might. He threatens and the reporter and cameraman slowly approach. I can see the two of them are shaking a lot, eyes shifting from the hooded figure to me, as if looking for an answer to every problem. I'm sorry lady. I can't help you now. I think helplessly. What do you want? The reporter asks, shaking. Is this being broadcast to all of Japan? The villain asks. The camera pointed at us, showing Gran Torino and All for One on the ground. And myself stuck in the air, unable to move. It must be a horrible sight for everyone watching. I close my eyes in shame. Why yes, great. Focus on me, please. He says, taking the reporter's microphone. Good night, Japan. I have a message for one of your citizens. It starts off smoothly, as if every word he says wouldn't make people watching him hold their breath. Midoriya Izuku POV. We did it. We saved Kuken. All Might defeated All for One. This should be the end. So why isn't it over yet? Because another enemy is there so close to All Might's helpless form. I want to run and come back to help him. Only I know that All Might is already at his limit. That he can't fight anymore. But Itsukan holds me back. He won't let me go. Now I'm watching on the big screen in Kamino's Central Plaza as the villain speaks to all the people of Japan after having thrown Endeavor away, while holding All Might and Gran Torino hostage. Good night, Japan. I have a message for one of your citizens. My name is Dispft. Yes. You can all call me Dis. Take this seriously. The hooded man, Dis, is happily talking to the camera, as if to report the weather. I came here today to the two strongest quirks in the world. It cannot be. All for One and One for All, he completes, shocking me. You don't know, but these quirks have a very old history. I won't tell, that's not the focus. The focus is that one of these quirks, the one from the villain here at my feet, he says, kicking All for One's body a little, can steal any quirk in existence, he completes, and I can hear exclamations from all the people around me. The second quirk, One for All, he says, pointing to All Might with his thumb on his shoulder. And I feel all the people hold their breath. And I understand why. All Might's quirk has always been a secret to the public. It can empower the user immensely, and is a quirk that can be passed on. All Might here is the 8th user. He finishes and everyone around me is shocked. Even my classmates. My eyes meet Kuken's. He's looking at me with an indescribable expression. He is putting the pieces together. Kuken knows I'm the 9th user. After managing to steal All for One, I find myself with a problem. One for All has already been passed to its successor. Kuken's gaze hurts now. Now who is the lucky guy or gal? Let's think. He continues excitedly. All Might would pass his quirk on to someone from the younger generation with a lot of potential and years ahead. This year All Mighty started teaching at UA. Coincidence? I think not. So one of the students at UA have One for All. To narrow it even further, All Might teaches first year. So one of those 40 students is his successor, he says, smiling with his voice. And Kuken hasn't taken his eyes off me so far. Now how do you know who is All Might's successor? Maybe it's Endeavor's son. The talented Shoto Todoroki? Nope, I remember when All Might moved to this town he saved 2 boys in a certain incident. My heart is beating faster. Coincidentally these 2 boys are in the heroic course at UA, in their first year. And now, I can feel the sweat running through my back. They even reached the semifinals of the sports festival. One of them won the whole thing, and is the one who started this whole incident today. Being kidnapped, pathetic. He speaks mockingly. So is Bakugo Katsuki the chosen successor to All Might? No, it's not, he says, and I feel like he's enjoying the situation. Like a showman in a stage. And Kuken isn't looking at me anymore. His eyes are glued to the ground. His expression indecipherable. One for All is a quirk that can empower everything in the user. If the user has a quirk, One for All can strengthen that quirk. Otherwise, one for all can still strengthen the body. That's right, to those smart enough to notice. All Might is originally quirkless. Haha, I feel the shock of everyone around me. Lots of people mumbling how this is not possible. To conclude, allow me to speak directly to the dear successor Midoriya Izuku. A sense of dread fills my being. He knows? What does he want to talk about? Midoriya Izuku Deku, he says as if testing the name on his lips. At the sports festival you broke your body. Because you weren't used to one for all, right? Gulp. You're the kid who tried to save your friend in the sludge villain incident, right? My mouth is opening. All Might saw your heroic act and decided to pass one for all, right? You even came here today to save Bakugo again, right? You're close, right? He keeps asking. And I feel like his words are physically suffocating me. Look at this. The villain crouches down and touches the torso of all for one's body. Then he straightens up again and snaps his fingers. A wrist-sized hole opens where he had previously touched it. Many flinch to the gore sight. You can understand this threat, right? Midoriya Izuku. The same hand that touched All for One is now touching All Might. Right in the face. No 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 no. I'm coming for you. If you move, All Might is dead. Midoriya Shounen? Run. Don't care about me, save yourself. All Might screams before an invisible force covers his mouth. Silence All Might, please. You know he wouldn't. Your successor has the heart of a hero, although he is lacking in all other aspects. Now, I'm going. Midoriya the villain jumps out of the camera's field of view. My confrontation with him is inevitable. Hector POV. I lied. I just made D4C. Punch All for One's torso when I snapped my fingers. I don't have All Might hostage. But only I know that Midoriya wouldn't risk it. If I didn't get one for all now, it will get unnecessarily complicated in the future. Ugh. Acting like a villain is cringe. But a little fun, I confess. Taking inspiration from villains like Sukuna, Dio, and Joker, I need to put on a big show, acting very different from my normal personality. All that talk on national TV was for me to get used to my newfound powers, to create chaos to my future actions be more smooth, and also try to attract professional heroes tonight. They better come now. Disorganized. I know that the mouse director of UA is very smart. If he comes up with a strategy with the top pro heroes, I might have a more complicated path than I need to. Tonight I will decrease their numbers, so they cannot react well in the future. I just didn't steal Endeavor's quirk because I want to give everyone a false sense of security. Desperate people take desperate measures. And if Endeavor is still active, the Japanese government will not take such drastic measures, like nuke me, because they will consider Endeavor to be an ace up their sleeves. I move through the air with a mixture of the quirk airwalk and jet from Gran Torino. There's another reason I said all that on national TV. As I approach the unconscious Todoroki and Yayo Rosa, I steal their quirks without hesitation. Damn, Momo really have huge badoankas. Anyway, continuing my line of thought. I know where Deku is, and I know Bakugo is with him. And knowing Bakugo's personality, he's going to make things even easier for me. Katsuki Bakugo POV. What the hell, shitty DEKU? What that hooded fucker said is true. So you were picked up by All Might? I asked the useless geek as I grab him by the collar. Today was full of shit going on. I might be responsible for the end of All Might. And now this. Answer, you're fucker. This piece of shit can't even look me in the eye. He keeps muttering quickly and under his breath about the people around him. I don't care about people. I want your answer. Tell me. Dude, calm down. Yes, we don't have time to this now. Spiky hair and Four Eyes comes in, separating us. We need to get out of here. Four Eyes says, looking around. There is an empty circle between us and other people. Many took out their smartphones to record us. TCH, but All Might. Deku starts. Told you to run away. We've already broken a lot of rules coming on here. We have to follow the instructions of the pros. Even if it hurts me a lot, Four Eyes says through gritted teeth. You will. I will stay here to beat that fucker or whatever. I exclaim to the losers. But Kukin. Shut your mouth, fucking shitty. DEKU? The bastard wants your for All Might quirk or whatever, right? You run always with your tail between your legs and I will stay here to kick his ass. I'm going to beat that hooded motherfucker. And I'm going to make things right now. Everything will be fine. Heroes always win in the end. But Before Four Eyes could say anything we heard a loud sound, and before anyone reacted, Spiky Hair and Four Eyes are blown away to a store nearby. So the new villain motherfucker dropped from the sky, cracking the ground. There you are. Successor Kun and his sidekick rival, he says excitedly. This guy's is pissing me off. I think while making small explosions in my hand to warm myself up, I will fucking blow his face away to hell. So, that happens. Initially I planned to give the MC some kind of power so he can gain some spoils of war after defeat strong enemies in Marvel. Then came the idea of him having a power that copies other powers. Initially I intended to give it to him from the gacha, but I thought, let this mathafucka works a little to gain the power. Then I created all this BNHA arc. I would give MC a weaker power for him to steal all for one and then improve it. It was going to be Ben 10's Osmosian power, but it's too strong for now. He will win in the future, but not now. Then he gained through the CYOA power store. The new MC mutation is strong, very strong, but it has its limitations. And to get stronger, he'll have to defeat stronger enemies. In BNHA he will gain a lot of versatility and cover several weaknesses, but he will not return to Marvel as a world breaker. BNHA arc will be a speedrun, so don't worry about straying too far. And then when MC goes back, the plot will continue with summons and world invasion. Fun fact, did you know that I have 3 fanfics that I started writing but didn't publish? The first was from a boy in the world of Nha who won a JoJo system, which he earned points to spend the more he drew attention. He would have to act flamboyant like a JoJo character. The second was in Game of Thrones, a guy who is reincarnated with the appearance of Griffith, Berserk, in the House of Arie. No powers, just handler MC winning Game of Thrones. And the third was the one that gave birth to this Marvel story. Unlike normal fanfics, there would be 3 MCs, 3 brothers in Marvel. DC powers, Superman, Flash and Green Lantern. Each would have their own personality. But I gave up and merged his personalities into Hector. Cautious, selfish, good guy, a little horny. Anyway, that's it. I hope you liked it. In this world, evil can arise from the best intentions. And there is good which can come from evil intentions. C. Code Geese. Hector POV. The situation is exactly as I expected. They didn't even move, they didn't push away the people nearby, and they didn't even plan a trap. Seriously? I literally said I was coming and they did nothing. Hard to believe they are training to be heroes. They are just a year younger than me. And they've had formal training. Batman Bite in a universe I attacked Ida first to stop him from running carrying Deco. Not that he would go very far, but I want them where I want them. Kiri's Hima was a bonus. He was close and I punched him too. Sorry. So future All Might who has no future anymore, will you hand me one for all willing? I ask already knowing the answer. Why are you doing this? The Broccoli head asks me. Seriously? At this point in the championship? But it's a good opportunity. He's probably stalling for time and planning in that meticulous little head of his. Let's take that calm away from him a little. Todoroki-kun asked the same question. I say, making his eyes widen. Along with that busted girl, what's the name? Yayo Treasure or something. I say. What did you do with Todoroki-kun and Yayo Rosa-san? The one for all wielder yells nervously. What do you think? I say as I make ice and fire come out of my hands. I watch his eyes widen in horror. Why are you so shocked? Have you not considered the risks of coming here tonight? Are you treating all this here like a game? Wake up to reality, idiot. You sacrificed 2 people for your precious childhood bully, damn it. His fists start to clench. Is it worth it? They must be full of regret now for following your selfish desire. You're trying to act like a hero, but you don't take responsibility for the people around you. He's shaking all over now. If you can't protect your friends, how can you call yourself a hero in the future? I keep pressing. All Might must have regretted choosing you as his successor. But he's too embarrassed to ask for one for all back. I bet he cries in the shower every day. I think I will get him out of his misery by killing him soon. I make the snapping motion of my fingers. The bluff from before. And as expected he snaps. He lunges towards me with the intention of punching me. PFT. You're making this too easy, Deku. He's a lot faster than I expected. I think he damaged his leg bones in that jump. But I've already gotten used to All Might's speed by watching the previous fight with All for One. He won't take me by surprise. I wave my hand in his direction and use 2 of my powers, the force and a machi attack. Normally someone would use knockback force, but I do the opposite. I pull him to me, causing him to accelerate out of control. He loses momentum coming face to face with my enlarged machi punch. My machi clings to him, enveloping him. Checkmate. Now I retract the machi for myself, and while Deku is wrapped in a ball of machi, I touch his head and steal one for all. Very anticlimactic, I should say. In the manga it is difficult to steal the one for all because of some bullshit of power of union. But my mutation is strong. Can overwhelm his plot armor. I assimilated Batman. I am the god of plot armor, biatch. In the meantime, I use a syringe that I kept in my utility belt to collect his blood. I've collected from All Might before too. I want to do some tests. Spider sense again. Bakugo, huh? Using the machi cocoon that still surrounds Deku, I hit the incoming Bakugo. Shingahi is sent along with Midoriya flying into a wall. The machi cocoon falls apart. But now the two are stuck there. Oh, look how cute you two are together. Good thing I'm using my visual change to make the black machi. The sight of the 2 of them covered in white stuff would haunt me for years to come. Now I'll take your quirk, Bakugo, I say, approaching. He widens his eyes and tries to fight. But my machi has already hardened, so it's pretty hard to escape. Especially if I don't give him time to do this, by kicking his solar plexus. I have to say I'm a little disappointed. I expected more from you two. I grab him by the hair and start stealing his quirk. In fact, this is just normal. I am stronger than them. I know everything about them. I set the trap. There's no plot armor that can save them. It's almost unfair. After removing his quirk, I resolve to annoy Bakugo a bit. He always got on my nerves and I never understood how anyone could like him. Ugh. My Neta is better than him. How do you feel now being quickless? Karma is a bitch, huh? I say, watching his eyes widen. I can almost feel him reaching for his quirk, using it anyway and failing. The desperation in his eyes is something I want to burn into my mind. Not because I'm a sadist, but I want to see the result of my actions up close. What I'm doing here tonight is for my benefit only. And when you do something for your own benefit, you usually hurt someone else. I will live with it. I will not shirk blame or responsibility. But I won't stop what I'm doing. I have to keep moving forward. Wah, give it back, you bastard. I'm gonna kill you. You're shithead. Slimy villain motherfucker. He starts to move and scream. Well, there's a way you can get your quirk back, I say seriously, and notice him paying attention to me. I get closer to his face. I say in his ear, you can always take a swan dive from the roof of some building in hope of reincarnate with some quirk next life. I return the words he says to Deku at the beginning of the story. Watching his eyes widen in horror, and as the entire fight escaped his body, I start to get up to face my next opponent. It would be better if you were passed out, Kirishima. I tell the young man who tries to tackle my body. But I didn't even budge a centimeter. Not that I'm belittling your effort, but you need to be aware of your own level. A hero can't retreat if someone is in need. He reply, I like you. I will take you quirk to let you valorous spirit live in me. I respond by aiming my hand at his head. But something collides with my hand. A feather. And then several feathers collide with Kirishima, taking him out of my reach. I hear Midoriya and Bakugo being saved as well by these flying feathers. But I do not interfere, as they are of no further use to me. My eyes are focused on a bigger prize. Finally a top pro hero arrives. I was expecting someone like you, Hawks. Huge fan, by the way. I say to the winged hero as he floats around holding the 4 young men I just defeated with the feathers he removes from his own body. Oh, is that so? I'm always happy to meet a fan. But I can't say that right now, you know. He speaks relaxedly as he carry the youths out of my sight. Many blocks away. This hurt my heart. I say exaggeratedly, but I completely understand. Do you want to fight now? Or are you waiting for reinforcements? I ask. Actually, I'd like you to surrender peacefully and my reinforcements have already arrived, he says relaxedly. I know. I say, jumping to dodge the kick that was aimed at my lower back. I was nearby, so I came hopping the fastest I can. The chocolate bunny woman screams after repositioning herself from her missed kick. Well, that will be fine. I need practice in real fights anyway. Mirko POVTCH. More than 10 minutes have passed since I arrived. And I started fighting this disc guy. Hawks guy are interfering with my fight and more heroes have arrived over time. I don't need to form a group with these weaklings. But this guy is strong. Incredibly strong. He doesn't seem to be using any quirks. Maybe a strength enhancer or something. But technique-wise, this guy is a fucking masterpiece. At least he's better than me, even if I hate to admit it. And he seems to be getting better. The feathers of the Hosguys couldn't even touch him, and he defends against all my attacks perfectly. But he doesn't fight back. That doesn't sit well with me. Since I arrived, I haven't felt an ounce of bloodlust coming from this guy. I can't get a direct hit, even with dozens of heroes interfering with support. Nothing seems to reach this guy. Why don't you fight back, huh? You can surrender already if you're not gonna fight. I scream in frustration after he deflects another kick from me with an arm motion. I'm trying to see the future, huh? What type of bullshit are this guy spouting? What type of bullshit are you spouting? I can't help but ask. Well, you guys are my training dummies. I'm using hawk's feathers to try to see the future. And you to get hard. I mean, not in sexual way, he says, quickly correcting himself. This guy's is pissing me off. Is like he is not a villain. Despite that's exactly what he is. My head hurts. Fuck this. Take this fight seriously. Okay. It's already done too. Let's end this. He talks, and that's when his whole behavior changes. My instincts are warning me like crazy that this guy is dangerous. That I should run. Fighting those traitorous instincts, I grit my teeth and crouch, preparing to pounce. I will defeat this guy even if it kills me. Let's test the new power I just acquired. One for all? Hector POV. Interesting. Fighting outnumbered is harder than I thought. Not that I'm seriously fighting back, this is too good an opportunity to train haki. I feel myself improving dramatically, and the percentage of assimilation increased too. But fighting a coordinated group is really tricky. It reminds me of Ins from the anime Overlord. When he fights that group that invaded his tomb, he just goes physically, but he can't finish them because of their coordination, even being many times superior in status. I remember seeing somewhere that a 1v2 fight is not as simple as just double the difficulty. In fact, each more enemy you're up against increases the difficulty many times over. And I'm fighting at least 20 pro heroes. The irritants are the ones who support from afar. But the real problem is him. Hawks. He is good. Every time I make a big gesture with my hands, 3 or 4 feathers are trying to dig into my limbs. He attacks and covers for allies. Nice job, Hawks. I have a new respect for you. This is a hero who has trained for years to perfect himself. In this regard, the ones from Marvel are lacking in some way. They don't plan on becoming heroes. They just become. Do their best and hope for the best. I wonder how many innocent people died for heroes who made trivial mistakes. It doesn't show in comics, cartoons, and movies. Well, except Gwen Stacy. But things go too well for Marvel heroes who don't have any formal training. I don't know if in my world they will have this plot armor. I will improve myself so I don't make mistakes. Well, I've seen enough. I'm satisfied. Time to end this. I start to feel one for all coursing through my whole body. 100% already. Naturally, I'm leagues above Deku. Looks who is back. Hehe. Midoriya Izuku.o.v. This can't be happening. One for all was stolen. It's my fault. I failed All Might. I'm sorry. I watch from the top of a building the heroes fight against the villain Dis. More than 20 heroes have already gathered, but no one can even scratch him. It's like he's been playing with them. Kuken and the others are on my side watching too. The desperation of the situation sinking in for them. In the Arie news helicopter is watching the fight. My friend's despair is probably shared by everyone in Japan. It was then that I saw in the distance a glowing point approaching at high speed. Endeavor? He's back in the fight. Heroes can still win. Endeavor. You came back just in time for the grand finale, the villain Dis says ominously. You villain carer. Will be of only one night, Dis Endeavor replies from above. Using fire to stay in the air. Nah. My villain career has an estimated duration of 1 month, he replies, but we're not going to talk about that. I was leaving. Will you let me go? The only place you're going is to Tartaru's prison. Endeavor says, throwing a pillar of flame at the villain. Several heroes follow your lead and launch their own attacks. So be it, he says before being engulfed in the attacks. Boom, waiting for the smoke and dust to clear, I can see the villain's silhouette floating to the ground. He is unharmed. Apparently he jumped high enough before the blow landed on him. My turn. I'll only attack once, he says, raising his arm. No, this pose can't be. Detroit. No 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 no, smash. He then punches the ground, making a huge explosion in all directions. It's all over. Nothing can stop him now. Hector POV. After the shockwaves ripple through the battlefield, I use smokescreen, a quirk from one of the previous one for all users. Damn Deco, you are really useless, huh? Well, I have Batman body. I'm cheating. Using the smoke cover, I go around collecting the quirks of nearby heroes. I take Mirko's. I don't care much for her bunny quirk, but it will lessen the number of my enemies, and I can always give it to some subordinate in the future. I have taken from everyone but Endeavor. I already have Todoroki, and I'll go after Dabi later. I'll let people think they have a chance of defeating me as long as Endeavor exists. That's why I'm backing off. I still have a month to go. Having stolen All Might's quirk will likely alert some nations across the globe. He's too important. But the chaos is good for my actions, and there's no need to search for them when they are coming for me. My time is limited. There's no need to me to be sneaky. I am already the strongest. Oh, Feathers, you're so good. Hawks. Hawks P.O.V. Even with the smoke obstructed view, I can still feel the villain's location. I trained enough to be able to feel the slightest vibrations and changes of air with my feathers. I send the feathers to obstruct his path, but he disappears out of nowhere. I lost him. Where did he go? He is Ditterstati, imbecile. I hear his voice between my wings, before he grabs my face and I fall unconscious. Let's see who can get the reference. Today the heroes lost. 3 days later, after Kamino Ward incident at the press conference, All Might talks about the Kamino incident from days ago. But Japan is still waiting for a statement from the UA about the harm done to their students. I listen to the TV in the hospital waiting room before shifting my attention to the tablet in my hand. I'm learning robotics and about virtual intelligence. Advantages of the year being 2183, it had at least some progress. Even though the advent of quirks has changed the focus of science, there are many people with quirk intelligences, so many fields have progressed, especially those concerning to heroes. Nanotechnology is something I'll study later, but it's basically focused on support items for heroes. Everything here revolves around the dichotomy between heroes and villains. But I didn't stop watching just because my study is more interesting. And seeing All Might doing his 90 bow apologizing. TCH, the guy sacrificed his whole life for these people. Now he's humiliating himself this way. Irks me a little. Maybe because I'm the one responsible. Well, in canon he would apologize just the same. Japanese culture, I think. Even with the end of the symbol of peace and the threat that the villain Dis brings to Japan, things are pretty normal. No chaos, no protests. I don't think it's sunken yet. But the number of crimes is slowly increasing. And disapproval towards heroes rising. Well, I'm secretly taking care of villains. They are quirks that no one will miss anyway. And keeps things balanced a little. And I'm here in public. Hehe. Advantages of covering the face. The guy who starts all this chaos is here in plain sight. I'm after my next target. Dr. Shiga Meruta, to the public, or Kayode Gariki/Daruma Ojiko, the scientist of All for One. I've been calling the hospital to make an appointment with the good doctor, but he was apparently unwell. Probably shocked by the death of his boss. But old habits die hard. He maintained this public identity for years. He will come back to work eventually, and today is the day. Wayne-san. The doctor is waiting for you. Room 4, please. A nurse with a clipboard comes to announce. She has tree leaves for hair and brown skin. Thank you, Nurse-san, I reply, smiling and heading towards room 4. The shapes and colors of the people of this world still amaze me. So cool. I have yet to meet anyone like that in the Marvel universe, although I know they exist. And they are ostracized because of it. Well, I'm a mutant now. Maybe I should do something about it. Fast forward the events of House of X, in which mutants build their nation and carry political weight. I've always found it bullshit when heroes like Fantastic Four and others are cheered and the mutants just get hit in the chin. I'll think about it later. I've already arrived at the medical room. Oh, good morning, young one. You may enter, and feel comfortable. The Dr. Daruma speaks after I knock on the door. Entering his room, I look around. and I use D4C to look more closely for hidden cameras. It looks like it doesn't have any. Patient privacy, huh? Hello doctor. I'm Bruce Wayne. Bruce the first name. I say. Reach out for a handshake. The good doctor extends his hand without a second thought. And I squeeze. Very strong. Breaking his hand. As I cover his mouth quickly, SHH, sorry. I have to make sure it's you and not a quirk-made clone of Twice, you know. I see his eyes widen. But I'm not a guy who gives my enemies time to think and makes them pass out with a blow to the back of the head. I need to act fast. You know, power copying wasn't the only power I bought from Superpower Storsio. Before I came here I bought a pretty nerfed version of telepathy for 400 CP/TCH. At 400 CP I could have bought adamantium armor and webs hooters. But I can do them in the future. The now takes precedence. Telepathy, you can delve into the cognitions of another person, learning their deepest secrets and thoughts. Comes with a free purchase of multitasking. When I return to the Marvel Universe I intend to copy the telepathy of some characters. Preferably Jean Grey. It bothers me having to spend 400 CP now, but it will make my time here in the world of BNHA easier. And my time here is short. No losing time. I sink into the unconscious old man's mind. Interesting fact about telepathy that I only discovered when I used it. Telepathy is not as smooth as I thought. You don't read a person like a book, or watch a movie of their life. A mind is much more complicated than that. As a kaleidoscope of images, sensations, smells, emotions, feelings, words. It's hard to filter what you want. Lucky I'm a genius now, and my processing power is very high. After an unknown time I finally have what I came looking for. His lab and information about the League of Villains. The main lab is here under this same hospital. I know where to enter now, how to enter and the password to use. Using a curtain in the medical room I cover the two of us and we appear against a wall in a deserted area of this hospital. Dr. Daruma leaves it desert like that on purpose. He talks about plans to expand the hospital into another section here. But he never goes ahead with the plan, because he wants this area really deserted so he doesn't have the danger of being discovered. Approaching the wall I press a specific point and a screen appears to enter a password. It has no letter or number. You need to know in advance where the keys would be for you to hit. It's no problem for me. After entering the password, a bigger door slides in and I walk in carrying the doctor. Now it's a hallway and at the end of it there's another door that needs the doctor's retina, fingerprints, and genetic identification. I know if I get it wrong, guns come out of the wall to finish off whoever is trapped here. After using the unconscious doctor to get through that last door I finally get on the elevator that leads to his lab. Lucky for me Dr. Daruma is paranoid and works alone. Nobody will stop me. And looking at his memories, he doesn't have any active Noma in the lab. I'm pretty early on in the plot of this anime. The first thing I do is go to the lab central computer and start changing passwords to mine, making the lab my possession. Now I don't need you anymore, doctor. And I saw the things you did in your memories. Ugh. I feel dirty just looking at them. Human experiments, euthanasia in patients who didn't need it, kidnapping and switching babies. I'm acting like a asshole, but this guy surpassed me by far. This guy is really sick. Well, to make his death more credible, I put the doctor back in room 4 and use D4C to go into an alley near the hospital. There I find a small villain that I had left here before. I didn't stay still in these 3 days. This guy has an armadillo quirk. Killed some people. Shell very hard. All I need. First I crush the villain's head with one punch. Then I grab him by the tail and start levitating, after turning invisible with Miles' power, which I finally unlocked after the fights on Kamino. I use the infrared power to precisely locate the doctor's form. And I throw the armadillo villain towards the hospital. In room 4. Crushing the doctor. Boom, poor doctor. Another casualty of the villain's violence. Panic spreads quickly in the hospital. But I don't stay to see the mess. Using D4C, I head back to the lab. I have many things to do. UA conference room. Well, things could be worse. Present Mike, a hero and professor at UA, talks to try to lighten the mood. The room is in a heavy atmosphere, as none of those present have spoken for the last few minutes. The group consists of former First Hero All Might, Principal Nizo, and the teachers and pro-heroes, present Mike, Eraserhead, Cementos, Hound Dog, Midnight, Vlad, Snipe, and Ectoplasm. Hisashi, shut up. Aizawa, Eraserhead, speaks grumpy. Although the situation is not optimistic, is not as bad as I initially anticipated, the rat bear dog principle begins. Nothing seems to have changed. And this new villain, Dis, took no further action other than those in Kamino. He completes. But his actions were more than enough to destroy hero society as we know it. Midnight, the woman in a scandalous outfit, speaks seriously. And there is no guarantee that he will not act in the future. Maybe he's buying time for something even bigger. Vlad, the blood hero teacher of Class 1B, adds his thoughts, getting used to the powers of All Might and All for One ectoplasm adds. That's true, the principal concedes, but in order to prevent any incident like 3 days ago, we need to do something simple, but it proves to be complicated even for me. The principal pauses dramatically. Knowing the villain disintentions and goals, he finishes. Isn't he going for the domination cliche? Present Mike asks. I'm afraid it's not that simple. We know close to zero about this new villain. He came out of nowhere, and in a movement led us and the League of Villains behind. Are we sure he's not part of the League? Vlad asks. He doesn't appear to have acted with the League's interest in mind. We can't discount that he might be a former member given his knowledge of All for One, but he's not on their side at the moment. This is possible to deduce because the principal explains before being interrupted. All Might is alive. In fact, no one on our side died. Aizawa complete. Exactly. Despite him taking the quirks of some heroes and students, none of them died. In fact, none of them were seriously injured. Nisa says, it may sound strange, but I didn't really feel any bad intentions from Dis. Despite his actions, I think even the threat on my life was a bluff. All Might speaks his thoughts. This matches the reports from Hawks and Mirko. He didn't fight back for most of the fight. And when he did, he aimed to the ground. Only with the shock waves. And he backed off even though he had the upper hand. The director speaks. And why does it even matter? Vlad asks. Because we can predict his next steps. Autopsy on the villain All for One showed that Dis did not kill him, but removing the life-sustaining quirks from him is what ended his life. He didn't kill heroes. He seems to be using heroes as training dummies. The principal speaks. While showing images and videos of the villain, it seems like his goal is to get stronger. For the sake of getting stronger. Get stronger. Present Mid asks a little incredulously. Yeah. It seems his actions were born out of a pure desire to grow his personal strength. He doesn't appreciate much the lives of villains, by the way. The images shift to the corpses of several people throughout the region near Musudafu, Kamino, and Jaku. All dead. These are villains. They died in the last 3 days. Dis is the one who probably killed them. How do we know that? All Might asks, very uncomfortable. He doesn't like the fact that One for All is in the hands of someone capable of getting their hands bloody like that. Some of these villains no longer have their mutations. And the MO, it's almost the same for everyone. 2 bullets of the same caliber to the heart and brains. Fast and merciful killing, the principal replies. He looks like he's on some self-improving journey. I look at the map. The range of his activities is increasing. Now if we study his pattern, we can predict its next steps. Especially if he's after people with powerful quirks, Aizawa adds again. It would be good to warn all pro heroes and schools of heroes. They are like treasure chests to him. Midnight says he may have only aimed for villains, but we don't know when he'll turn his eyes to our side of society. True. Now for a concrete plan to defeat Dis. Aizawa-san, you will be our main piece. The principal begins by addressing Eraserhead. Eraserhead only nods. His students have suffered in the hands of this villain. He will do the right thing when he takes action. I really wants to end this arc. I already know how it ends. Some people are confused about MC actions, right? Well, I predicted this. I can only say to read till the end of the arc. But if you guys don't want, I can't force you guys. Till next time. Stay well, y'all. I don't like the terms good person or bad person because it's impossible to be entirely good to everyone or entirely bad to everyone. To some, you are a good person, while to others, you are a bad person. Armin alert, Shinjiki no Kyojin. Secret lab under the hospital. Huff coming back from a little trip to take out a gang of villains in the underworld. I take a deep breath after removing my mask and mantle, and stay only in my tight UMF suit. Public order is declining, more villains are appearing and heroes are giving up the profession. I feel bad, so I can't leave the livelihood of normal people be affected too much. Things are changing, I feel like shit. A part of me says this would happen eventually in a few months anyway, you'll make things better here in the end. But the other part is killing me with guilt. I can't be everywhere, there are people suffering from my actions. Is it right to sacrifice some now to save a huge amount in the future? I do not know. That question was never answered. But I've already started, I can only keep moving forward. Stop bitching, Hector. And stop making excuses. You are the bad guy here. No self-righteous hypocrisy. Sitting in the armchair in front of countless screens, I prepare for the next phase of my plan. Attack villains. First I check my gacha, to be sure of my next steps. 1/4 gacha points, 8 general gacha in setting gacha, Boku no Hero Academia, manga/anime/novel, Japanese, gacha mode 2/4 Hector Bellucci de Carvalho race, mutant, homo superior, character assimilation fully assimilated, funny Valentine, Batman in progress. Charlotte Katakuri 32% Starkiller-21% Miles Morales 44% Summoned characters, none powers, source of all living matter, Minecraft inventory, Miss Militia power shard, power manipulation, one for all, various other stolen/copied powers perks, custom visual powers, imbue card mechanic equipped items, unstable molecule suit inventory, Minecraft, chakra books, EDI biomech. Suit V2.0, neutralizer gun, 13mm auto anti-freak combat pistol, jackal, Helsing, other miscellaneous items 3/4 non-used cards, characters Shago, Kim Possible, Flurk and Loki, Earth 199999/MCU, package, Arcane Jace, League of Legends, Huntress, Helena Bertinelli, DC Comics, Tokaido Muchiro, Kimetsu no Yaiba, Miyata Ichiro, Hajime no Ippo, Nagachika Hideyoshi, Tokyo Ghoul, Busujima Psycho, High School of the Dead, Yagami Light, Death Note, Isabella, Yakusako no Neverland, items, Sword of Actuation, Berserk, Batch of Heart-Shaped Herb Zeta Flight Space Station, Earth 25271, Kaneki Mask, Tokyo Ghoul, Special Fire Force Field Uniform, Enin no Shaobutai, Duras Kitchen Knife, Toriko, Ika Series, Naruto, Murasame, Akame ga Kill, Palantry, Lord of the Rings, M41A Pulse Rifle, Alien vs Predator, Powers and Abilities Made in Heaven Stand, JJBASO, Demon Blood Art, Infinity Castle Consumables Shonen Setting Travel Ticket, Mid-tier/1 month, Power Boost Card X03 Background Customization Card X05 Movie Setting Travel Ticket, Weakness Removal Card X0244 CO Options, CO Points, 250 Simplified Marvel CO Super Power Store CYOA. That high percentage of assimilation. Participating in a real fight really speeds assimilation. That is why it is convenient to be the enemy of the world. I can use a lot of powers from my cards now. I can now use almost all of Miles' abilities with the exception of his bioelectricity. And I can finally use Haki, not advanced ways like covering my body in a blackish armament or see the future. But it's only a matter of time. Interestingly enough is the character who is most physically human, Starkiller, is the slowest. Well, the Force is a pathway to many abilities some consider to be unnatural. I don't think I've even scratched the surface of what I can do with Force. It's good that I fought the heroes head-on. I could have been sneaky, although it would be impossible to steal. All for one sneakily in that situation, so this door was closed early on, but having enemies allow me to have serious fights, with strong people. I want to finish assimilating these 3 cards in the time I have left this world. I almost feel regret that I waited for the All Might vs All for One match to end and just reaped the benefits. If I had turned it into a 3-way battle, I would probably be above 50% in all. But there were too many variables. It was the most important step in my plan, nothing could go wrong. And mutant, is bothering me. Can't I change to superhuman, parahuman, metahuman? Mutants remind me of the guys who used to hang out in the sewer in Futurama. As I think about it, the definition of my race changes as I think about it. I remember that the Gacha display is the one I have the most affinity for. I chose at the beginning. So it's a screen that resembles a PC. I try to change my race to a super awesome Lord of Universe but nothing changes. So it has to make sense. I'll leave metahuman like DC. Homo superior is very arrogant and mutant is very derogatory. I don't have to follow Magneto and Xavier's terms. Now going back to the screens. In Dr. Daruma lab, I continue to study his research. It has everything I need, like replicating quirks without all for one, cloning, reconstruction of the body, quirk singularity theory and database about quirks and people with them. This guy even keeps people in a vegetative state, just alive with machines, like some twisted sort storage of quirks. Makes sense, all for one couldn't maintain as many quirks as before his injuries. When I got his quirks they could be divided into 3 types, life support quirks to his injuries, weak miscellaneous quirks like telekinesis and quirks to fight All Might. Seriously, the powerful quirks were basically anti-All Might. Shock absorption, regeneration, air cannon. The guy can create a build against a specific enemy. And that's what made me come to this world in the first place. I don't have Batman's resources, for now, to build weapons against my foes. I know many Marvel characters, I know many of their weaknesses. Now with the right preparation and power, I will have the upper hand. My powers are like my utility belt now. I don't need to take a pellet of smoke scene, I can make it now. I don't have much raw power to go up against the stronger ones. But if I fight smart, I have a chance to win. At least I know I won't lose. Speaking of my power manipulation power, it is really overpowered, but it has limitations. Mainly in the similarities and differences between stealing and copying a power. First of all, the two have the similarity of the need to be very close to my victim, no skin-to-skin contact needed, just an inch apart is enough. It's probably the limit of my bioelectric aura, the thing that everyone has. But the difference is that stealing is much easier and faster. It's like, a metaphor. Like stealing or copying a painting. To steal a painting, all you have to do is reach out and grab it, right? But to make a copy you need to replicate the painting step by step. Redraw, paint and more. I tested it and took a minimum of 1 minute to copy a weak quirk, without stealing it from the original user. It wasn't something I can do in battle. Heck, even stealing is better with the victim unconscious. Gran Torino resisted for a few seconds until I knocked him unconscious. My power is like a big tree in the center of a forest. I can simply steal another tree and plant it around the central tree, power manipulation, or I can take a seed and grow it with time. By the way, when I meditated and entered my inner world, many new stars had appeared in the night sky. They represent my new powers. And there's a star like a sun that signals my power manipulation, above the pillar of light. And there was also something interesting, which had me worried a lot at first, but it will end up being an advantage. There's also the fact that my gacha in setting has changed. Now shows BNHA. It means that if I roll a gacha here, it will give me things from this universe. But I didn't gain even a single gacha point while I was here. So to use this new feature I would need to accumulate gacha points in my origin universe. Use my travel ticket for a strong universe, like Dragon Ball, and use my gacha there. A lot of work. In the future maybe I will do it. Well, back to my plans. Today I will deal with 2 groups of villains. First, using the identity of Dr. Daruma, I send a message to Kurogiri from the League of Villains. The bait is set. Now I will act to get some op quirks and saves a little girl. I finally confirms where she was, and I needed to be careful to not have her taken hostage. Let's go. Shihasaikai Compound 3rd person P.O.V. This is Yakuza hideout belonging to the Shihasaikai. 8 Precepts of Death is a large residence disguised as business office buildings. The upper floors and the outside of the hideout are decorated like a traditional Japanese residence. The residence is completely gated off and requires someone to buzz into. Gain entry. Past the gate is a large courtyard filled with trees that leads to the main entrance. Right now, on the surface all low-rank Yakuza members are unconscious and trapped by a dark substance. All quirkless now. Entering the residence, a secret passageway was completely forced open, giving way to tunnels and more tunnels that extend many meters underground. If you go through these tunnels you will find more low-level Yakuza unconscious and without their quirks. Now in a more open place 13 people find themselves in a tense situation. The place seems to have suffered from several attacks. The terrain has changed a lot from its original design already. 11 of these people are obviously part of the same group, but only one of them is conscious. The leader of Shihasaikai Overhaul, Kai Chisaki. Everyone else has already been defeated by the other group. The other group is basically one person, with an extra child. The villain who recently appeared Dis, and has already made waves across Japan, finds himself on the opposite side. He is holding in his left arm a small girl with pale blue-gray hair and red eyes, with the striking feature of a small horn on the right side of her forehead. See, Arie-chan. I'm really strong. I'll get you out of here after defeating all these guys. There are so many delicious things for you to eat outside. And songs. And cartoons. I'll tell you a story. I will also teach you to control your power, don't worry. I copied it. I know how to use it now. The villain Dis continues talking to the petite girl named Arie, ignoring his opponent's glare. In fact, the whole fight was like that. He didn't stop talking to her for even a second. Even as he dodged attacks and fought back. Even though he didn't get a response. He just talked and talked in a calm and carefree voice. And that annoyed Overhaul a lot, who could only look at his 8 percepts of death, his assistant and general manager be all defeated. Even trying to help, nothing worked. Even trying to affect Arie psychologically didn't work, because Dis wouldn't let Chisaki words be heard because of his incessant chatter. An interesting fact is that no one has died so far just because of Arie. Dis wants Arie to see her captors defeated, but doesn't want her to see them killed. He doesn't want her to learn that the thing to do against an enemy is to kill. Arie is kind and young and doesn't know much about the world. Dis wants Arie to see things for herself, live a little before she's forced to swallow other people's principles as absolute truth. She is at an impressionable age after all. Arie, don't you see all the trouble being caused just because of your existence? Just come back here and no one else will be hurt because of you. Overhaul tries to appeal to Arie's guilt over the situation. Then Darth Vader said, Luke, I'm your father. You see, Arie, Darth Vader didn't kill Luke's father. He turned evil for some reason. But how and why? This is complicated. The world is not black and white, it has shades of gray. Sometimes when you try to do something good for someone, you end up hurting someone else. Dis continues to speak while Arie listens intently. Overhaul can't take it anymore. He will kill this villain full of disease and recover Arie. For Overhaul, who considers quirks to be diseases, the villain Dis who collects a lot of them is nothing more than the plague itself. Overhaul slams the ground with both hands, destroying then reforming the ground into a crater with him at the center. Due to this, his subordinates' unconscious bodies begin to roll towards the center where he is. And when they are within arm's reach, he starts touching them and merging with them one by one. The villain Dis obviously sees this but doesn't stop him. Even if it were 100 subordinates instead of 10, it wouldn't matter. He allows Overhaul to complete his transformation to have a good opponent to train and to defeat him grandly and engrave Overhaul's defeat in Arie's eyes, to help her get through the trauma. In fact, this merging of 11 bodies into one is not very beneficial for Overhaul. His new body can barely withstand the pressure of so many powers. He is having to destroy and rebuild his body at every moment to maintain his form. This is natural. Even people like Nine and Gigantomachia can handle only less than 10 quirks. Only All for One endures more because his body was made that way. And now Dis too. Even Shigaraki had to go through a painful process of months to be able to accept All for One. Well, Arie, time to get this over with. Look carefully. Dis speaks while holding Arie tightly. In an instant he appears beneath Overhaul's giant form and uses his power air cannon. Air cannon could one-shot the top pro hero Best Jeanist, when All for One uses it. A power that could throw All Might far away. And that was just with the improvements of All for One, which used the power along with spring-like limbs and several other power-up quirks. But Dis doesn't have a normal human body like All for One. His base body, even without any other power to strengthen it, is many times stronger than that of a normal person. So his air cannon has much stronger potential than All for One. When he finishes using, Overhaul is now among the clouds. I'll take a page from Midoriya's book. I can't let him harm the neighborhood. Dis speaks to himself. He flexes his legs and in an instant he's in the air above Overhaul. The view is nice, right, Arie-chan? Dis speaks casually, causing Arie to open her eyes to look at the scenery. Overhaul, hearing Dis' voice, tries to reach out to grab him. But another air cannon throws him away. And then disappears behind him and repeats the action. And again. And again. Dis wants to show how powerless Overhaul is for Arie. The truth is, he doesn't know how to heal her trauma. So he's trying to replicate as much of the original plot as possible that he knows. because he knows it worked out in the end to her. But there are things he can do that the original plot characters can't. Look, Arie-chan, he says, removing his hood. He's only wearing a mask that covers up to his nose this time, keeping the eyes up exposed. The difference from his normal appearance is that his black hair is slicked to the back, and his eyes change colors constantly because of him practicing with various types of quirks. On his forehead is a horn like Arie. We're the same. Cool, right? He says, and see Arie widening her eyes. Look to him, he is in pain. He wounded his own subordinates. Let's save them, okay? I will lend your power to save them. I will show you, you potential for good. Dis finishes and his horn starts to glow golden, his hand also glows in the same way, and he propels himself towards the monstrous form of Overhaul. After one last air cannon towards the ground, Dis follows Overhaul's falling form, and before he touched the ground, it attacks with golden glowing hand with Arie's rewind power. Boom! After a shockwave and blinding light, it is possible to see Kai Chisaki and all his subordinates lying on the ground, unharmed, but unconscious. Thank you for lending me your power, Arie-chan. Dis SEI giving Arie a V of victory sign. CA, can I do something like that too? Arie asks shyly. Can I heal people too? Yes, you can. Dis responds cheerfully. He's pleased to see how Arie's eyes sparkle. Hector POV. After a few minutes, Arie falls asleep in my arms. Now I can steal Chisaki's and others' quirks, and kill Chisaki. Only Chisaki this time. It will be painless. More merciful than what he deserves. The thing he did with Arie and his foster father. Even later in the series he has no regrets. The fact that he is the most responsible is also what made me hold my hand in killing all the Yakuza. I know many follow the old boss. Speaking of the old boss, hearing the police and heroes approaching in the distance, I move to the room where the old boss is in a coma. I examine him and see that Overhaul has used his quirk to relocate some arteries in the brain, putting him in a coma. I can reverse this. But not now, I will have to practice with the power Overhaul. I will look for him later. With the search quirk I can find it anytime now. Search is a quirk that is used to observe and mark people. Individuals being observed are visualized through the quirk as star-like vestiges, and can allow the user to know their location up to even miles away. Search also permanently stores the information gained after its usage. Very useful. If I empower with one for all, then, using D4C, I get away from the Yakuza compound, but not before stealing and destroying all of Chisaki's research equipment on quirk erasing bullets. Not that I'm going to use Arie for research. I can use my own blood now. While I watch the actions of the police and heroes from the top of a nearby building, I see a familiar face. Sir Nighteye, All Might former sidekick, with a quirk that can see the future. Sir Nighteye POV looking at what was supposed to be the Shihasaikai compound, which now has a big hole leading into the underground. I know exactly who the responsible is after looking at the black substance that bound the Yakuza members. DIS. A man I feel a lot of conflict when I think about him. During the Kamino incident I was very nervous, thinking that would be the moment when All Might would meet his gruesome death. And when it didn't, I took a deep breath and did something I'd sworn I wouldn't do again. Use my quirk to see the distant future. I refused early because I didn't want to see anyone else dying. But a villain who has all for one and one for all is very dangerous. I need to know what future awaits us all. And what I saw. I am conflicted. I want to hate this. I really want to, but, ugh. Going back to my hero office, I dismiss Centipede and Bubble Girl because I know what's coming. I sit in my chair, link my fingers together in front of my face to support my forehead, and close my eyes. Did you see the future and that's why you gave up? I open my eyes after hearing his voice. He is admiring one of the many paraphernalia of All Might. He has his back to me, holding a small girl in pale gray-blue hair who is sleeping. Yes, I see the future. I see a month far in the future. I say, and that makes him turn to me. Did you see it all? He asks, and I nod. I did it, he asks. For the first time I hear uncertainty in his voice. Insecurity for the path he is taking, I believe. Yes, you did. I reply with another nod. I see his shoulders relax slightly. He approaches and removes his hood. I see a young face covered in a half mask, black slicked back hair, and eyes that change color constantly, blue, purple, red, yellow. I believe it's him using various quirks. Constant training, huh? So will you let me take your quirk? He asks, looking into my eyes. Yeah, you can copy it, I answer, passing his little test revealing that I know he can copy quirks too. Alright, give me your hand, he says, extending his hand. I also extend mine. I know his power doesn't need to have contact with the victim's head. But before our hands touch, Dis dodges to the side when Amirio fully naked appears from a wall, punching where Dis was previously. Sir, are you alright? Mirio screams worriedly. I sigh. I know this is going to be complicated. Togata Mirio POV. On the way to the internship to Sir Nighteye Hero's office, I get a message from Bubble Girl saying that Sir dismissed us all for today. This is weird. Sir and I had scheduled a special training and he didn't text me. Something is wrong. Accelerating my pace, I arrive into Sir's agency and hear an extra voice inside his office. I recognize that voice from days ago on TV. The villain Dis is attacking Sir. By his quirk probably. Throwing myself against the wall, I enter the office. Identifying the villain's figure, I throw a punch in his direction. But he easily dodges it. Sir, are you alright? I ask, but he just sighs. And I feel something is weird. Because I don't feel the tense atmosphere of a fight here. And Dis is without his hood. Mirio, no need to fight. Dis is here to receive my quirk, Sir says. What are you saying, sir? I'm confused. This is a villain. The man who destroyed All Might and stole his quirk. Is Sir being controlled? Calm down, Mirio. I'm not being controlled. This is only for the best. And we can't defeat him anyway, Sir says. But we can't give up? Heroes don't give up. I say. Sir is strange today. Mirio, do you trust me? He asks me. With my life, I reply without hesitation. Then trust my decision. I can't explain it to you now, but it's for the best. I don't know what to say. Dis, sorry for the interruption. Can we continue? Sir turns to the villain and extends his hand. No problem. Your intern's reaction is natural. We are the strange ones here. Dis speaks and Sir give a smile. One smile. As if Dis had told a joke that only the two of them know. Indeed we are, and with that the two hold hands for a few minutes. Done. Sorry for wasting your time. Dis speak. Very politely for a villain. So copying takes so long. I see now why you stole it instead of copying it in Kamino. Sir speaks as if discussing the weather. Yes, and also to they not to go after me. Reduce the numbers of heroes without fatally hurting them. Dis responds equally nonchalantly, what's going on here? I am getting crazy? Can I copy the quirk from your intern too? Dis question. What? Mirio, let Dis copy your quirk, Sir says, turning to me. But Sir Desh, I begin. Believe in me, Mirio. Believe in Dis too. Is all, Sir says as he sits back in his chair. Dis reaches out to me and leaves his hand hang between us for a while. Not forcing me to do anything. Patiently waiting for my decision. After a while of intern turmoil, I decide to trust Sir and grab the hand of Dis. Thank you, he says. I like you, dude. You will be a great hero in the future. He continues and Sir nods. I'm feeling weird being complimented by this guy. You are the one who attacked Shihasaikai today? Sir asks as Dis holds my hand. I know you already know the answer. But yeah, you see this kid here. Then Dis starts to tell the story of Shihasaikai. And I am deeply shocked. Even Sir appears outraged. Quirk erasing bullets, experimenting in this little girl, the old boss in coma. Sir just sighs. There are a lot of problems in the underworld of society, Dis says. And I hate to agree with him, but this kid was suffering so much just a few blocks away and I was ignorant of it. I squeeze my hand hard in frustration. Sometimes the world doesn't need a hero, it needs a villain. Dis says, quoting from somewhere apparently. After that he lets go of my hand. Looks like he finished copying my quirk. Do you want to leave Arie under our protection? Sir asks. Dis, not now. In the future. At the moment I can help her control her quirk. And as proof of that, he makes a small horn like Arie-chan's appear on his forehead. I understand. Well, allow me to ask something. Sir speaks and then gets serious. Okay, shoot. Dis responds without hesitation. How bad would things normally be? Sir asks. I don't understand what he's talking about. Well, Dis starts scratching his cheek, apparently unsure in what to answer. For starters, you would be dead. What? Freeobnovel.com. Sir looks into Dis' eyes. The two stare at each other for a while. But Sir is the first to close his eyes and sigh. So I owe you my thanks, I guess. No need. I know you don't like me because of what I did to All Might. All I'm doing is my selfish nature. Relax. Dis says dismissively. After he says that he heads to the door saying his goodbyes. When he leaves I turn to Sir. What's going on, sir? I don't understand any of that. I say honestly. Mirio, don't tell anyone about what happened here. Sir says seriously, but Sir Mirio, I just shut up and nod. Mirio, I know you are feeling conflicted. Believe me, I am too. I tried not to like Dis. I try to hate him until. But. Sir begins. Did you see anything in the future? I ask the obvious conclusion. He is our best chance is the only thing, sir. Responds. We were silent for a while. Dis. Pft. Ha 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 ha. From there Sir starts to laugh. For Sir, the smile is the most important part of the hero's profession. To him to laugh because of Dis. I really feel conflicted. Dis is a funny guy. He Sir says before leaving the office. I stay alone. Dis made Sir laughs. What kind of person is he? A.N. Ha 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 ha. I fucking knew it. All reactions of you guys. Anyway, like I said early, anyone is my guest to leave. I remember reading the Bakuman manga a few years ago. There was a part where the young authors received letters from fans and changed the story following fan suggestions. To please them. The editor said it sucked. And he taught a lesson that people don't want to read predictable things and their suggestions. So it's not worth changing anything. And so following the editor's advice, I will not change my direction of the story so much. I have a path to the story in my mind, and this BNHA arc is going to shape the MC morals. He's growing up. When this is all over, that is the moment that his challenges in the world of Marvel will begin. This was all a prologue. Well, to be honest, all the comments that only released rage put me off a little. Criticize constructively, goddammit. Not just trash, drop. Fuck you, author. Anyway, thanks for the ones that supports. Maybe I'll finish this story with 30 chapters. I can do this. I can just give the MC a op character in the gacha, like the Beyonder pre-retcom. And bam, game over. I will go back to writing for myself only. Anyway, I will continue writing for those who stick with me and want to see the MC grow. He is not perfect. His method is not perfect. Will be good? Does he even know? Can he predict the result of his actions? The consequences? He's trying, testing, growing. And as cold as it sounds, he better do these tests in a world that's not his. Well, that's it. I wanted to finish this BNHA arc as soon as possible because I knew that many people would not like the beginning. That's why I released 3 chapters today. More than 13k words. This is the last. No previous ISIN for the next release. But I will finish this arc at least. Till next time, dear readers. I love all of you guys. Even the assholes. BYE, no matter what kind of wisdom dictates you the option you should pick, no one will be able to tell if it's right or wrong. Till you arrive to some sort of outcome resulting from your choice. The only thing we're allowed to do is to believe that we won't regret the choice we made. Levi, Shinjiki no Kyojin, Freeobnval.cm, an. This chapter is a flashback. Let's see how many people are triggered because the MC do stupid things now. In the night of the Kamino incident, after having finished stealing the quirks of the heroes that faced him in the central plaza of Kamino, leaving only the one of Endeavor and some others, Hector retreats to a desolate area in the woods. In fact, he had arrived in this world a day earlier to prepare. Due to his meta-knowledge, he knew that the attack on the training camp took place 2 days before the heroes' raid in Kamino. In those 2 days they found the location of the League of Villains due to police investigation and the tracker that Yayo Rozumomo placed on one of the Nomas with the help of a student from Class 1B, Owaze Yazitsu, and that the UA would trick the villains into thinking they had no clue of their whereabouts, using a press conference where they would apologize for their mistakes and receive reprisal by the public. When Hector arrived in the world of BNHA and saw the groundwork of the recent events of Katsuki Bakugo's kidnapping, he was able to trust that the world he just arrives is exactly as shown in the manga/anime. He would just have to wait on Kamino until it was time to attack. And everything goes according with the plan. After accomplishing the objective of that night, Hector enters his tent that he had brought from Minecraft inventory and meditates. This was not one of his daily meditations. He had something important to check. Hector POV starting to focus on my inner world and my new acquisitions in powers, My consciousness is moving to a very separate place in my mental world. A place I prepared early while giving that cringe-edgy speech on TV. I couldn't fight without figuring it out first. The thing is, in the final chapters of the BNHA manga that I read before being transmigrated, it was shown that quirks possess some of the original wielder's personality and consciousness. And complementing this, there is a fandom theory that quirks affect a person's personality as well, such as Bakugo's explosive attitude and Toga's obsession with blood. That is, when quirks are stolen, transferred, or passed on, there is a possibility that the person will inherit personality traits from the previous quirk bearer. And this can be even more extreme in people with incredible egos and willpower. And special quirks like All for One and One for All. I have both quirks now, and as I predicted, I'm not a fanfic MC with plot armor that has some special defense pulled out of his ass against mind attacks and possessions. That's why I've worked hard on strengthening my defenses every night since I got the Chakra books. Now I have some loose ends to take care. Hector Inner World. Now this is a surprise, I say, looking at the 9 figures in front of me. I am in a separate corner of my inner world. And in front of me is a fragmented room floating on the calm endless lake. That is my mind. The room is divided into 2 contrasts. In my left half is lit and in my right half is darker. On one side, the brightest one, sits 8 figures, all strapped into their respective chairs. These are the 8 users of One for All, or at least what was left of their conscience and spirit. All Might is the only faded one, like a flame with the shape of skinny Might. And on the other side, darker, there is only one chair, a throne, but the figure seated on it is similarly tied up. In fact, chained all the way down, he can't even move a muscle. Very extreme, but necessary, because this figure is All for One himself. None of these consciousnesses can do anything in my inner world. I prepared myself for the possibility of this happening even before I came into this world. With my training I created this split part of my mind to trap them. Now they are at my mercy, I can erase them at any time. But like those Wuxia/Xiangxia novels, I maybe have something to gain from them. At least with the One for All users. I know from the theory that quirks carry personality traits and desires of their users, but you guys are really awesome. Or rather, your quirks are awesome. Full consciences. With egos, feelings, and memories. Ridiculous. Haha, I say, just to get a glare from everyone but All for One, who seems to be enjoying it all. Keeping an eternal smile on your face. I never thought I would get the chance to see so many dead people. Ah, the nostalgia. My silly little brother. I would hug you if I could. All for One says. Apparently he's been talking and talking, too. Getting under the skin of all One for All users. Keep your sarcasm to yourself, brother. The first One for All user simply responds. He has white hair reaching to his shoulders and a frail appearance. And you're not much better than us All for One. Dead too. Ha. Finally, you got what you deserved. The 5th user, wielder of the quirk Black Whip, speaks from his seat. A bald man and with a bulky appearance. Honestly, this situation sounds like a lot of fun, but I have things to do and I don't like people living in my head. Walking to the room, I make a seat appear for me there. Much simpler than theirs. Just a wooden chair. Well, this is awkward. But I will have to erase you all, I say while scratching my cheek. With that, many start talking at the same time. Their talks have almost the same subject. Who am I? What am I going to do with One for All? After seeing me ignoring their every word, they calm down. And it seems that an order has been established. What is happening in the real world? The first user asks. It looks like he wants to start small. And they lost whatever connection they had with their powers. They cannot interfere with One for All, nor can they observe the world through my senses. Unless I allow it. Nothing for now. Only a few hours have passed since I stole you guys. But I predict that in time chaos will set in the world. After all, the 2 great symbols of this society divided between heroes and villains have fallen. I answer truthfully. What is your objective? The 4th user, wielder of Danger Sense, asks. A white-haired man with lines on his face. Self-preservation, I answer simply. I need to be strong to protect myself. If you need protection, you could have asked the heroes for help. Nana Shimura, All Might teacher and 7th carrier, speaks. She is fair-skinned and has a small mole below her bottom lip, centered to the right, and sharp, intelligent eyes with long eyelashes. Her hair was dark and straight, kept shoulder length with the exception of a clump of short bangs hanging above her forehead. It's more complicated than that, I reply simply. It wouldn't be a problem to tell these dead guys more, but the explanation would take too long. They look confused. Understandable, I think. You should get rid of All for One as soon as possible. I don't mind disappearing. One for All goal has been accomplished anyway. The second user speaks. He is a man with short, spiky hair, a large scar across the front of his face, and wears a combat jacket with a large black collar. Don't worry about him. He's dead and there's nothing else he can do. In fact, his power is already mine in a completely new way. He is much weaker than each of you here now, I say. And it's the truth. My new power will not allow rebellion from the powers I copy or steal. So I can now use all of One for All's secret abilities, which Midoriya needed the previous user's approval to do. These guys are fragments of consciousness that haven't been dissolved by my sea of consciousness because I'm curious about this whole situation. It's a good experience. Even if All for One tries, he won't be able to take my body or anything. I have Haki, willpower, D4C, mental training, telepathy, various defenses. Consciousness of a dead person in a low-tier world like this can do nothing. But this can be a good opportunity to test all these defenses in a safe and controlled situation. Actually, I'd like you to try it, I say to everyone's confused gaze. Where I come from there are people who can do much worse. Hijack my body, mind, and soul. A bunch of fragments of consciences from one such low-level place. It will be a good practice for my defense. With that I get up and walk away, leaving them tied up. In a few weeks all of you will cease to exist. Be helpful to my growth. Thank you. My voice echoes after I'm gone. Before taking the laboratory of Dr. Daruma, because he don't appear in the hospital till days later, every night I visit my inner world to observe the fragments of consciousness. Just as I expected, All for One constantly tries to attack my mind and try to somehow take over my body. And as I predicted, it's been a good workout. A good practice, I would say. My defenses are good and All for One doesn't have much experience taking bodies, I think. Never tried probably. But his attempts now make me aware of several small weaknesses in my mind. It's like, you have your skin, but you don't feel your skin all the time, do you? You're used to it. You only feel it when your skin is touched, tickled, bruised. All for One's attempts are like little tickles in my mind. A little irritating, but I'm getting used to it. Adapting. Getting stronger. In DC, Martian Manhunter has a hard time invading the minds of people with great willpower and strong mental barriers, even when they are not telepaths. I believe I am the same now. Another good opportunity to growth I seized upon coming into this world. Now about the other 8 ghosts, they usually try to stop me from using their quirks and One for All. No success either. Every night I go back there and surprising myself I started to form a certain relationship with them. One day I shameless started asking the One for All users for tips on being a hero. At first only one person answered me, Shimura Nana. And we started talking. Others, over time, entered as well. I think they are bored. People are scared. So you can't show that you are either. The best way is to smile to reassure them that everything is going to be okay. Nana Shimura talks to me after I ask about what it's like to save people. I've never saved anyone until now. But what if I want to cover my whole body with my costume? How can I smile at them? I ask honestly. Oh, you'll have to transmit it in another way. Gestures, your tone of voice, she says. I nod. This is weird. And everyone here must think so too. Here I am getting advice on how to be a hero from a dead woman who inhabits my mind with her other ghost friends. Well, my life will only start to get weirder from here on out. I'm sure. But this dynamic has continued for a few days. Even after taking care of Dr. Daruma, I still visit constantly. None of them know what's going on in the outside world. I don't allow them to share my senses. You can go with a bam and har, it always works. You have to be flashy. For people to recognize that you are arriving even before you arrive. It will give the villain a pause and lift the morale of the people on his side. Banjo-san, the Black Whip user, excitedly talks about heroic entrances from his chair. It doesn't have to be flashy. As long as your intentions are sincere, then you will eventually reach people's hearts. The Quiet Ensan, the user of Smokescreen, gives his advice about the Axior perform being a hero. He has dark hair who wore a high-collared jacket, and is fairly quiet due to his attire obscuring his mouth. He was the one who passed one for all to Shimura-san, so he easily entered the conversation circle. I cannot receive formal education on how to be a hero during my stay in this world. It's one of the consequences of my choices and the path I'm walking. So I thought I'd take advice from professional heroes who are living in my head. The funny part is that I also asked All for One for advice when he stopped trying to take over my body. Advice on being a leader of a great organization. But his teachings are usually meant to annoy the One for All users. 2. To be a great demon king you have to know how to utilize everyone around you. Everyone, no matter how small, can have a use. For example, I remember that a long time ago I found out the location of one of these losers because an old lady told me. I had removed a quirk that was to her grandson's detriment. And she felt grateful. All for One speaks from his side of the room. I roll my eyes at his speech. Obviously he never misses an opportunity to try to get under the skin of the One for All users, and many of them take the bait, becoming an argument. You don't even have the scruples to leave a little old lady out of your schemes? Bastard. Banjo-san is the first to shout. You speak as if I manipulated her. It hurts me. I helped her in a way that you people who only know how to punch others can't, and she thanked me on her own. What's the problem with that? All for One says, smirking. I resolve to wipe that smile off his face. He pisses me off too, and if I had to choose a side, I would choose One for All. So I say, you know, I already took care of your good doctor. All for One. It brings attention back to me. And All for One gets serious. Dr. Daruma or Kayode. Gariki, so many names. My body is meditating in his lab right now. Thank you for your hard work all these years. All your years' efforts are mine now. They will be very useful, believe me. You are very good to me, sensei. I say sarcastically. He does not answer. Tell me, Hector. Shimura starts. What are you going to do with all that you're getting? Quirks, knowledge. If it was anyone else here, I wouldn't answer, but Shimura-san grew on me. Well, I don't intend to rule the world if that's what you're worried about. I just want to stay stronger to protect myself. I answer. Aren't you strong enough already? Banjo-san asks. You simple-minded people can't understand. When you have the power to take everything you want, you do just that. It doesn't have to exist some big reason or purpose. You do what you do, take what you take. Because you can. There's no one who can stop us. So, why not? Why do we have to be constrained by the codes, laws, and dwellings of people who can't imagine the world as we see it? Right, Hector-kun? A world that is ours to take. All for One speaks ominously. First, don't lump me together with you, bastard. I have literally zero reason to be a villain like you. I answer. Second, I don't have the luxury to be arrogant like you. But eventually you'll see things the way I do. In a world where no one is your equal, where the natural state of things it's with you at the top, and everyone else below you. He answers me smiling, with a know-it-all attitude, which annoys me a little. Not even close. You know nothing, All for One. You have no idea how ridiculously small you are. I won't become arrogant like you, it's not my thing. I can act arrogant for people to think I'm an idiot who underestimates everyone else, and they themselves underestimate me. But I sure as hell don't have the luxury of being arrogant, not considering from where I come. I reply, thinking of the dangers of my world. I have an idea. Normally I wouldn't, but it can be a useful experience as well. Wants to know? Why don't I show you? In less than a month you all will disappear anyway. I think you guys are the only ones I can have a conversation about this in this world. They seem confused by my speech. If you want me to tell you, I will. But I warn you, your worldview and your very being of yourself will change. I warn seriously. But everyone seems interested. Even the second and third users of One for All. All right. Don't say I didn't warn you all. Tentacles of water made from the Great Lake in my inner world began to move towards them. Some try to resist, struggle. But all of them are powerless in this world. Each received a tentacle on the forehead. Even All for One. I want to destroy his arrogance. And see how a egomaniac like him reacts. And they began to see the images that I allow. Nothing personal. Just to give them an idea of my motives. Where did I come from? The power levels of my world. That I have seen them through manga pages. The information is very little. I didn't give any knowledge about myself, about the future, or anything like that. Nothing will change, they won't exist when I return to the Marvel Universe. I'm also curious to know what people would think if they found out they were fictional characters for someone else. I will summon fictional characters in the future. It's inevitable. I want to have experience with the situation. I want to know how they will react. Good people and bad people. And I'm in this world to do tests. After a few minutes, the water tentacles retreat. Everyone is shocked and shaken by the revelation. Surprising me, the first to open his mouth is All for One. And his reaction is unexpected to say at least. Ha 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 ha. So the theory of infinite universes is true. And are we that low? Your world is really dangerous, Hector-kun, he says laughing. I understand your concerns about surviving now, Hector. But was it really necessary to take the quirks of the heroes? The first user, Yoichi asks. But All for One answers before me. Don't you understand, silly little brother? This man in front of you comes from a world far superior to ours in terms of power and everything else. Why should he care? For him we are just NPCs, background characters in his story. He says laughing. I thought I didn't care about dying. But knowing that there are endless possibilities out there ignites a flame that I thought was long gone in my heart, he continues. Hector, ho. I admit my defeat. All for One turns to me. I know my disappearance is inevitable now. I know that Tomura-kun doesn't stand a chance against you. This whole world doesn't stand a chance against you. I will help you, teaching everything I know in this little time left. Then I will live. I will live in my teachings to you. Ho, he completes. And the worst thing is that I do not detect any falsehood in his speech. Inside here I can feel all the emotions and thoughts of these guys. All for One really accepted its fate. That's a strange way to take all this. So that's what you are, brother? A soulless being. You never cared about other people's lives. But now I know. You never even cared about your own life. You always treated it like a game, and you were just petty enough not to want to lose. The first user speaks. But All for One just smiles without responding. All these lives, all these losses for no reason. No purpose. Just because you could. The first user is shaking in rage. It would be a waste to have all that power and not use it, right? I just wanted to see how far I could go. Ho, All for One responds. And if they didn't have the restrictions on them, I'm sure it would become a fist fight here. Okay, whatever, you can speak up and I will listen to what you have to say, old bastard. I say to All for One. Who knows what the future holds for me? Any experience or knowledge can be precious to me. Hector Shimura-san looks outraged. Sorry, Shimura-san. But this guy has remained the king of the underworld for over 100 years. With a power similar to mine. Anything he says could be useful to me in the future. I tell her. And relax, it's not like I'm going to accept everything he says as an absolute truth. Or as a rule I must follow, I say to calm her down. But she doesn't seem to like this situation at all. Too bad, I decide. My path here. I can't convince you, but let me talk about the other side then. I can help you see that not everything needs to be resolved with clandestine methods, she says after a while. No need to counterbalance, Shimura-san. Relax, that's I'm the one using this old villain and not the other way around. But if you want to teach me, I will not refuse, I say. And All for One just keeps smiling to itself. They take this better than I expected. No existential crisis, or denial. I'm disappointed. Anyway, with that, I started to be the pupil of the users of One for All and All for One himself. Talk about a strange, unplanned situation. Shimura-san also convinced me a bit not to kill all of the Shihasaikai, to be more merciful, that taking away the quirks would be enough. I followed in part, because it is the pure truth. But I killed Chisaki, even against her advice. All for One has really stopped trying to take over my body. But I never let my guard down with him in any way. When you control an underworld empire from the shadows, you have to make your subordinates fear you. But it's not good to go around showing your strength all the time, trivializing your existence. All for One starts talking as I listen. He's talking to me about how to maintain an organization without even having contact with his subordinates. If you want to keep your identity a secret, or if this organization is disposable, it is good that you keep a minimum of direct contact with it. Use a proxy, someone you trust, to carry your orders and wishes, he continues. But wouldn't that cause eventual insubordination? I ask. And you better let it cause at first. Let discontent grow, your subordinates underestimating you, some even doubting your existence. Let thoughts of rebellion arise. For you to cut everything with one movement. It ends cruelly. It's not good to be ruthless all the time with your cute pawns. Your time is too precious to take care of any little problems. So you need to think about the moment that you will be the most cruel and ruthless. Do they never think of defying you again? To embed in their minds and bodies that you are an absolute existence. Above them. He continues. Machiavelli, huh? I mumble. Exactly, he says excitedly. When your organization grows, it will have all kinds of people. Bad apples too. Traitors, incompetent people. Wait for them to give you a reason. And you eliminate them all as an example to others. He continues. No one will blame you. Your might will make it right. You may have killed friends, lovers, their family. But in their minds, they will only think that those who challenged you were the fools, the wrong ones. And they will try hard not to be next. He ends. I look at the user's side and I see that many of them are disgusted. What? Doesn't mean I'm going to do as he says. Just a reference. I say, shrugging my shoulders. I don't like it. Hector Shimura-san, the person I have the best relationship in here, speaks. The one I trust the most. She was the first to accept my side. And she doesn't talk about how I should do things. She advises me, saying the bad consequences of my actions. I don't listen to everything. But I learn a little. I am young and inexperienced. I understand this much. Until now I used my superior strength to defeat enemies. I won't always have that advantage. I know that, Shimura-san. But you know I'm not a heroic figure, but I'm not a psychopath villain either. I want a perspective from both sides. I reply to her. She just sighs and doesn't say anything else. She understands my situation. Over time I released one for all users from their restrictions. They can get out of their chairs now. Minus all for one. He's still stuck. And he doesn't seem to care. I can't understand this guy's mind. In the afternoon after the Shihasakai raid. And after a little time with Arie. In less than an hour I will finishing off your grandson Shimura-san, I tell her. After taking care of the Shihasakai, I will now end the League of Villains. She looks at me. Can't you just take his quirk? She asks hopefully. You know his is too far gone in the madness of wanting to destroy everything. I reply, he's no more special to me than the others he's killed. I complete and see her just closing her eyes resignedly before I leave. Telling the truth is not always the right thing to do. Tom Shredfield, Taboo Tattoo. Shortly after meeting Sir Nighteye, and before goes take care of the League of Villains, returning to the lab with Arie in my arms, I see a small problem. This is a laboratory. Arie has been suffering in a lab for a long time. TCH. What to do? Finding an empty room, I start throwing in things that will give it a more homey vibe. It's lunch time yet. I think I'll take Arie out to eat. I don't care if they see me without my costume. They won't recognize me, only Arie maybe, and they can't follow me if I want to teleport. And I'm so strong it's not funny anymore. I no longer wear my Thor suit, because I'm in this world to train and test my limits. I can't cheat any more than I'm doing. I need new clothes for Arie, with long sleeves. Hide the scars. When I train with Overhaul I will fix this. Arie, wake up. If you sleep now, you will not sleep at night. I say, waking up the little girl. She blinks in confusion. Arie, listen to me. I'm going out to buy you some clothes. It will only take a few minutes. I want you to be strong and stay here watching that cartoon until I get back. And when I come back, we're going out. To eat, right? I talk to her, keeping eye level. Are you really coming back? She asks, holding my mantle tightly. Certainly. Pinky promise. She looks at me confused. Doesn't she know about pinky promise? I thought it was common in Japan. She really lived sheltered, huh? Pinky promise is like this. You hook your pinky finger with someone and you have to keep your word. I say, teaching her how to do it. I'll be back to take you out to eat. Trust me, okay? She nods now. After one last look at her, I quickly retreat. The faster I buy her clothes, the faster I will be back. 27 minutes later. I'm at a family restaurant in civilian clothes. I keep Arie's quirk horn to pass as her older brother. Arie is sitting next to me so I can help her eat and wipe her mouth occasionally. There's a woman giving me coy eyes. Am I triggering her maternal instincts? Or something like that? The time is still 14:06 in the afternoon. I have time until my League of Villains assignment. I think I'll go for a walk with Arie, buy more clothes, sweets. Am I spoiling her? Nah. After an hour of walking around the commercial district, Arie got tired again. Looks like she doesn't have much stamina. Today was also a roller coaster of emotions to her. So I decide to go back to the lab. Arie, I have to tell you something. I start by carrying her in my arms along with several shopping bags. When she looks at me I keep going. You know I would never hurt you, right? She nods. The place I live is very similar to the place that man used to hurt you. I'm telling you this so you don't get scared. Hospitals are similar too, they are used to heal people. When I come back I will have to leave because of an appointment. So when you're alone, don't be scared by anything you see. You are safe. I explain. She is not stupid. I will be direct to avoid misunderstandings in the future. When she nods I say then let's go back. Placing her on the makeshift bed, I wait until she sleeps before moving out of the room. I told her I won't lock the door. But there's nothing fun out here. And to be careful not to touch anything for her own safety. I don't know where I'm going with my decision to take care of her. But I'm the only person in the world who can help her control this dangerous power quickly. Returning to my central computer I resend a message to Kurogiri with the identity of Dr. Daruma, letting him know that in less than an hour I will pass on the coordinates of the meeting. And it is for him to take all the remaining members of the League of Villains to that place. Because he needs to impress the person who is going to meet them. I'm already going ahead to find that person. Gigantomachia. In the middle of a forested area I arrive by levitating to the location indicated on the device in my hands. In my inner world there is a screen in the ghost's room where they can watch what I see and hear what I hear. No sharing of my seines, this is the most I'll do for them. Gigantomachia is a loyal servant of All for One. A guy with a simple mind. He just follows his master's orders. He walks around naked, with the exception of an occasional coat and the radio he wears around his neck. And in that radio is the tracker that Dr. Daruma put on him. He is one of the characters with the most quirks in the series. He is definitely in the top 10 strongest. Now my goal beyond the League of Villains quirks is Gigantomachia himself. Gigantomachia place. Readiness.com. Clicking the button on the device I used to locate Gigantomachia, I hear a noise coming from underground. The device controls Gigantomachia's radio, and I pressed the command for All for One's voice comes out and tells Gigantomachia to wake up. Floating in the air, I see a naked man over 3 meters tall, dark brown hair and with several protuberances on his back getting out of the ground. The radio around his neck repeating Machia, wake up with the voice of All for One. He looks around and spot me. You are the one that kill Master. TCH Daruma told him, that complicates things. But it's still within my expectations. In an instant he grows to 25 meters in height. His head just a few meters below my feet. I know his height limit from the manga, so I'm already above his reach. Surprising me, he jumps up and tries to grab me. That's good agility, but jumping will only give me advantages, you know. Before he reaches me I already move up. And I drop an air cannon towards him. Boom, he is crushed into the ground. But he gets up, unharmed. I took it easy, but that's good resistance. It's no wonder he singled out virtually the entire community of heroes of Japan. They had to put him to sleep with drugs to have a chance. Before he starts attacking me I speak. Gigantomachia, calm down. I killed All for One, yes. But I am his successor. I say. Hector. Inner world. Several tentacles of water form around the room where All for One and the One for All users stay. They all move incredibly fast and slam into All for One's immobile form, making him wince in pain. What's happening? Will Hector finally erase this guy? Banjo asks. But nobody has an answer. Real world. This smell. You have the smell of Master. Gigantomachia says, shocked. Yes. Think with me, Gigantomachia. All for One wanted a worthy successor because of his injuries. I am the man who defeated him and stole his power. I talked to him. I am his successor now. I say grandly. I'm using All for One's consciousness fragment within me to bring the villain's unique aura out, as if I'm wearing All for One. Gigantomachia proved to be quite sensitive to this in the manga. I will use All for One to earn Gigantomachia loyalty and then slowly pass that loyalty to me. Gigantomachia will be my first subordinate. How? With the background customization card. When I came to this world I noticed differences in Gacha. The first was that Gacha in setting changed from Marvel to BNHA, and the other was the possibility to use the background customization card in the opposite way. I can recruit and transform characters from this world, from the world I travel, in summon cards. The only requirement is that they accept. And the restriction is that I can't assimilate them. When they become cards, just resummon them. The moment they transform into summon cards, the gacha will imbue the loyalty that all summons cards have on the character I turned into a card. But he will have to accept. The character needs to accept is a very big requirement. Only people who have no connection to the world they live in, or have a very different way of looking at life or are simpleton-like Gigantomachia would accept having loyalty implanted in their minds like that. If I win Gigantomachia's loyalty, I will take him to the world of Marvel, as a card. That wasn't an original goal, but I decided to take it further when I saw the possibility and awareness of all for one trapped in my inner world. When I saw this new background customization card feature, I thought of many useful characters, like Mei Hatsum, Inventor Genius, Toga Himiko, Twice, Mirko and even Dr. Daruma. But I finally decided only on Gigantomachia. Hardly others would accept. And Dr. Daruma is pure evil. When I come back, I'll be part of the mutant, metahuman, community, and it's a heavy taboo to experiment on mutants. Dr. Daruma just wouldn't care. It would be more trouble than it's worth. That's why I only take research from him. I'm pretty smart too. I can replicate everything he can do. I'll just have to sacrifice my own time. Tell me, Gigantomachia, who do you think would be the perfect successor to All for One? The answer is someone who can defeat him in his own game. Someone who has already proven himself capable of overcoming and surpass him. I say, and I can feel him focused on every word I say. Fascinated. This is easier than I thought. But I also need to put the last nail in the coffin. I was All for One's chosen in death. I say, picking up a smartphone, why don't you take a look at the successor he chose in life? And check for yourself which one of us is the most worthy. I say, pressing the button and sending our coordinates to Kurogiri. Unknown place, provisional headquarters of the League of Villains, Kurogiri POV Ping Shigaraki Tamura. The doctor sent the coordinates. We can go retrieve Sensei's gift. I say to the entire League of Villains group. I look at Shigaraki and see him scratching his neck. His behavior has become more erratic since Sensei's death by the new villain Dis. Shigaraki Tamura is impatiently taping his foot. So let's go. I don't want to wait any longer. Let's take what the doctor sent and finish this. Shigaraki says, getting up. Since the incident on Kamino he has been this way. And my advice to wait in this hideout previously prepared by All for One didn't help him. He wants to do something. Gathering the rest of the League of Villains, I prepare to open the portal using my quirk. Everybody is here. They consist of Dabby, Spinner, Himiko, Toga, Mr. Compress, Magni, and Twice. Some of them may be having second thoughts about joining the League, but many have nowhere else to go. And it's not like the League ended with the fall of All for One. I still have in my possession several accounts, contacts, and properties left to me by Sensei. And mostly, besides Shigaraki Tamura, All for One always had 3 sidekicks, who weren't arrested after his fight with All Might 5 years ago. Myself, the doctor, is the only one we're going to get now. Gigantomachia. That man is a force of destruction. It will be useful in the future. But he is difficult to deal with. His heightened loyalty to All for One could be a problem now that it has fallen. I can only hope that Shigaraki will live up to the expectations All for One had in him. Get ready, I say to the group, opening a fog portal to the coordinates. After looking first, I see Gigantomachia sitting in the middle of a forest. It has some craters and uprooted trees. I think it's normal if he got the news of Sensei's end. After checking that Gigantomachia is alone, I allow everyone to go through the portal as well. But when everyone crosses and the portal closes, I feel something hit me from an impossibly close distance, where I didn't even notice it approaching. And then darkness. Hector POV. First thing to do is always take care of the teleporter. Holding the unconscious Kurogiri for his metal neck brace, I begin to steal his quirk. Observing from above is the best. I can already imagine how this will end. Kurogiri, you, Shigaraki says when he spots me. He seems pretty annoyed to see me. I can't even imagine why. I ignore him and speak. Gigantomachia, these are the League of Villains. You can draw your own conclusions in any way you want. Chat, test them. The choice is yours. Don't kill them for now. I say, already knowing this will end in a fight. One of All for One's advice is to give your subordinates the illusion of choice. You give them alternatives, but with only one good enough for them to choose from, the one you want them to choose. Evil Empire Management 101. Am I evil for using your tactics? Maybe. But I can learn and adapt later. Everything is situational. And as expected, Gigantomachia gets up. Successor? Fight me, he says, growing just a little to 12 meters. Using me to brainwash Gigantomachia? I think I'm very proud of you, Hector-kun. All for one says from my mind. Even in pain, he acts carefree. You teach me well, sensei, I say sarcastically. Aren't you worried that you'll have no more use for me after today? I ask. Huh. This is something I'm already prepared for, he says with the same infuriating calm expression as always. The League has no chance. Banjo-san comments watching the fight. And it's true. Nothing works in Gigantomachia. Not Dabi's fire and not Tomura's decay. Why does decay not work? Is it because Gigantomachia is too dense? Because he doesn't give it time to take effect? Tomura hasn't freed himself from his psychological problems, so he's pretty weak. He barely destroyed Eraserhead's elbow when he invaded UA, and to say that the others are outmatched is the understatement of the fucking century. They can do nothing. Oh, this is unexpected. In their desperate moment, a rock ended up hitting twice, causing him to bleed. It made him have the confirmation that he was the real one, the original Bubigawara Jin, overcoming his trauma. Now he's creating clones in incredible numbers. But, boom, Gigantomachia grows a little bigger and blows hard. Almost all clones turn to mud. But some don't. They're running away carrying the rest of the League of Villains. This cannot happen. Moving very fast, I block their escape route, and touch my right hand to the ground. Ice starts to be generated in large quantities covering the clones being made. But many members escapes my attack due to the twice clones throwing them out of the way while sacrificing themselves. Good choice. Blocking the escape route, and you even froze the original twice, preventing it from spawning any more of his clones. Impressive that you were able to tell him apart from all these. Shinomura-san, the user of Danger Sense, comments from my mind. The clones produced are based on the ideal image he has of himself. That is, they do not have the dirt and blood that he acquired during this time. During the fight, I answer. Don't run, successor. Gigantomachia explodes towards the remaining League members. Meanwhile, I approach the frozen twice. I was lucky to catch Toga and Mr. Compress too. I steal the quirk of the three. Are you going to kill them? Shimura-san asks from my mind. Today only Tomura dies. I simply answer. All for one? Whyy? He is so weak. Why is he so weak? Turning my eyes to the battle, I see that it is already over. The entire League of Villains is on the ground struggling to get up. And Gigantomachia is crying rivers over there. Calm down, Machia. Tomura has potential. All for one didn't make a mistake. But is a pity Tomura will never live up to it. I say, floating to the giant man, already treating him like my subordinate. Master, he says to me. Yes. Ho as I float closer to the fallen opponents, Machia places his hand as a platform for me and I land on his palm. I understand you all have your own circumstances, I say, looking at the villains. But now I will take your quirks and throw you all to the heroes. Except you, Tomura. You won't see tomorrow and your dream of destruction will never come true, I say. Now I move closer to remove their quirks, but my spider sense and danger sense flare. He's not defeated yet, apparently. But I don't stop walking confidently towards him. I will not show uncertainty now. When I get to less than 2 meters, very quickly Tomura lunges towards me with outstretched hand. He's faster than before. Some type of power-up bullshit? But I don't even seem to move. When he finally catches up to me, he no longer has both arms to use his quirk. Watching him fall to the ground, I cover his body with ice, just in case, and touch his head, stealing decay for good. Now removing Jackal from my inventory, I prepare to give him his merciful death. Hector. I hear Shimura-san calling my name. I'm not surprised by her intervention. I already have a pretty good idea of her personality. She just can't stay quiet seeing this happen. But she won't change my mind. Taking my attention to my inner world, I say, Shigaraki Tomura will not be allowed to exist. Shimura-san, I say. Seeing her in my mind, I wait to see what reason she'll give me to convince me. The least I can do is listen to her. But she just drops down to a doxa. Hector, I know it's shameless for a worthless adult like me to ask for this. Just because he's my relative. My failures in the past now haunt the present. And it's up to people like you to solve them now, she says with her forehead touching the room floor. In my mind, as a hero I cannot ask you to spare him. I understand that you are not wrong in deciding to kill him. But as his grandmother, I have to try to do this one thing for him. Please. I beg you. I am a failure as a mother and a hero. But I want to do this first good thing for Kotaro's family. Spare Kotaro's son. Spare Tenko. Please, she says while in doxa. Damn. You can get really uncomfortable with someone bowing to you like that. TCH. What to do? While I'm shocked Yoichi-san and En-san do a doxa too. Please, Hector. Grant Nana-san's request. Yoichi says. M-san just keeps silent in his doxa. Then Banjo-san and Shinomura-san prostrate themselves too. Ha. We can't stop you from doing it, but you can't stop us from begging either. Banjo-san speaks in his usual loud attitude. If I don't support my juniors in this, I will still be more of a failure as a former user of One for All. Shinomura-san says simply. You know that you all want Shigaraki Tomura spared just for your satisfaction, right? He will be imprisoned for the rest of his life. The second carrier speaks. But if you want to give him a chance, I will believe him too. He ends up prostrating himself. The third carrier followed shortly thereafter. One chance, huh? It reminds me of what my grandfather said. Ugh, all former users are in doxa now, and when I feel that All for One is going to do some unwelcome commentary I shut his mouth with the mental chains. TCH, there's a way. I say, running my hand through my hair. Everyone pays attention to that. A way that can satisfy all of us. I don't guarantee the future. And honestly it won't be much different from killing him. But we'll give him a chance. But remember, I won't be here forever. You may be leaving problems for this world. I hope you are aware of the risk. I say. Everyone nods gravely. Whatever. I don't have any personal vendettas against him, and it won't be my problem. I say while returning my attention to the real world. The time in my inner world and in the real world are different. Speed of thought is much faster. So during all this conversation, not a single moment has passed out here. Well, Shigaraki, today is your lucky day. I say, putting Jackal in my inventory again. You won't die today. I have other plans for you now. I strike his neck, leaving him unconscious. After that I take everyone's quirk from League of Villains, and using Kurogiri's newly acquired quirk warp gate, I transport them to special rooms in Dr. Daruma's lab. Why not hand them over to the police? Shimura-san asks, referring to the rest of the league. They can be used to locate me, I reply as I access the central computer to gather the places of certain people of interest. Now that I have a teleport quirk, things will be easier. The league knows keywords like doctor, laboratory, and I don't know what Shigaraki and Kurogiri revealed to them before our meeting. This might allow them to deduce the hospital I hide in. I say as I reopen a portal to where Gigantomachia is. When I killed the doctor, I don't even take his quirk, because he would age considerably. Giving clues to the police force, I says, but All for One has the original longevity quirk anyway. If they find out where I am, it will derail my final plan. I need the lab, so they will stay with me until the day I leave. I continues, and what would be this final plan of yours? Can you talk to us? Yoichi-san asks. Well, something like. After I say what I will do before I leave, they are silent. Returning to Gigantomachia's place, I have to engrave my superiority in his mind. Hit the iron when is hot. Machia. Fight me. I say, stepping out of the portal. He doesn't think long before he launches himself towards me. Later in the lab, humming the season 4 opening theme from BNHA anime, Polaris. I do small tests on my body samples. Using the database of Dr. Daruma, I discreetly copy some quirks from some civilians. At first glance they are useless, but to me they are priceless. Mainly two. Custom hair and crystal nails. The first one changes the user's hair, nothing like manipulation, it just allows changing the color, hairstyle, and a little of the length with a lot of effort. Why do I want this quirk? Because the hair becomes a synthetic fiber with this quirk. A synthetic fiber with no trace of my DNA. That's mean no clones of myself will be made so easily. And crystal nails has a similar principle. My nails change to become a crystal-like substance. They don't even grow anymore if I don't want to. And this crystal doesn't have any traces of my DNA either. These two passive quirks will allow me to be a little more relaxed when I return to my original world. I took the opportunity and did a test on things I produce with my body, like mochi and things in my Titan form. Not that I intend to use my Titan form in Marvel. It's too weak for the fights there. And I don't have descendants to use the other functions. I like it because of the ridiculous regeneration. But I already have super regeneration that all the Nomas have. So I'm really hard to kill. Result, the mochi is just mochi, the mud that is formed with twice clones too by the way, and several other secretions. Nice. Looking at myself in a mirror I start to take a test. Due to the use of some quirks, mainly the one taught need to use my eyes, it became a nuisance to cover my entire face. Then I cover just the nose down. A ninja half mask. I also think it might be a good idea to reveal some information. False information in the case. In my normal appearance I have blue eyes, curly black hair. Not too long, my hair goes down to my eyebrows and I wear glasses. Now in my new identity, my mask will cover the lower half of my face. My eyes will change color depending on the power I use. I think that's cool, multicolored eyes. My hair will become straight and long to my shoulders. I will use the famous Iron Man bun, showing my sharp eyebrows. Maybe I will even be more edgy and turn my hair white. Storm of the X-Men has white hair too and makes a good contrast with my black suit. The two versions are very different. I will even grow a little in the hero/villain version, becoming very different from Hector, looking more adult. If I don't reveal anything about myself, people will try to guess. But if I falsely reveal something, they will be led to lose my trail. The difference between my two versions is like Aizen captain of the 5th division and Aizen leader of Hueco Mundo. Similar but difficult to relate. Superman psychology. The famous change of, "Hello, it's nice to finally meet you, sir," to "she calls me daddy too." Satisfied with the results I go back to play with Arie. I only have a little over 2 weeks, but with Machia and Kurogiri's warp gate quirk, I'll be able to accelerate my plans. If this world thought I was trouble, they are about to find out what happens when I really become proactive. Not many can do the right thing when it counts. Kuro Yatagami. No, you have to use your whole body to swing. Not just the arms. Gotta go with an eye arc. Banjo-san screams in my ear as I practice with the black whip among the trees. Now I'm really like Spider-Man. Even though I said I would be more proactive, I didn't move much. I taught Arie about rewind, worked in the lab, took classes with my ghosts teachers, and trained with Machia. Machia is a good spar partner. The percentage of my cards doesn't increase much after 50%. My goal of completing them before coming back looks a little distant now. You have an insane amount of powers, but you can't ignore the basics. To use all that power well, your body must be in top condition, Shinomura-san says to me. But you have excellent physical conditioning and you are a genius. As long as you don't grow arrogant and never stop practicing, I don't see any problems in the future that you will have controlling your powers. San tells me. Did you know that if you have to catch someone falling instead of flying towards that person directly, it's better to make a curved trajectory? Shimura-san tells me about heroics, the brachistochrone curve. I ask exactly. You can not only descend faster, but allow you to catch with less damage to the person's physical integrity. If you take it from below and adjust your speed, she completes. I see, I say with my chin between my fingers. It's a lot to think about and take into account during these situations with so little time. And that's why you need practice. Banjo-san tells me with practice and experience your body will move better before you even think. You think fast, it's true, but you think too much. Sometimes you have to trust your instincts and reflexes. If not, you will waste precious time, he adds. The more powers you have, the more at the moment of action indecision can take over you. Shimura-san says a truck is heading towards a child. What do you do? Take the child? Stop the truck? How? Teleport? Telekinesis? Shield? Diverts the truck trajectory with earth manipulation? With ice? Having a power and knowing when to use it and when not to use it will be very important to you, Hector. She completes. Absorbing her advice, I start to think. It's true, the number of power and abilities I will have in the future will be ridiculous, and if I can't use them it's a waste. You can keep a certain group of powers and give the others to your subordinates. All for one speaks to my mind, as he is the only one with no freedom to materialize in my view in the real world. Many powers will be similar. Choosing the strongest or the most compatible with you is important too. Don't be stingy and empower trusted subordinates too. he completes. Everything they say makes sense. I'm glad I didn't delete them without giving them a chance. This trip is really worth it. It's hard to make a copy of a power that I already have. Is like having to grow a seed from the scratch. I don't have infinite resources to replicate powers. 2 days later, same routine. That sword doesn't look very practical. Ensan comments beside me as I hold the sword of actuation, but in its sword of thorns form. His comment is because the grip is full of spikes. It's not a sword that just anyone can use. I say, one of the advantages of coming to this world is that I have more freedom to test my assets. The sword of actuation was in card format. Until now, because I was afraid to use it and some demon or eldritch abomination seized the chance and invade my world. Like Femto took advantage of the slash of Skull Knight in Berserk. This sword has two forms. The first is much more normal. The Sword of Thorns, following the name, is a long sword with the theme of thorns. The sword usually wielded by the Skull Knight in Berserk. Bathed countless times in the blood of apostles, it became a magic sword. Or was it forged like that? Hard to say. Little is known about the Skull Knight background. And in its second form, the Sword of Actuation, the handle changes like thorny rosebush branches. And the blade is made up of behemoths that give an organic feel to the blade, full of eyes, noses and mouths that constantly move as if the blade were alive. It has a light blue glow, making the sword transform in my hand. I prepare to test its skills. Yikes! What is this sword? So creepy. Shimura-san says, disgusted. But the reaction of others. This sword. So cool. Banjo-san says. Indeed. What cool sword. En-san adds, nodding his head. I wield the sword and make a dimensional fissure appear. Stepping on it, I appear 5 meters away. Wow, did it cut space? Damn, best sword ever. Banjo-san continues. All of one for all users are around me as I tested the sword. Does it do more things? Yoichi-san asks, strangely excited. It was made to harm magical beings and beings in their astral forms, which normal attacks would not affect. I say, magic? Like Wingardium Leviosa magic. Banjo-san speaks. More like Lord of the Rings magic with demonism, I reply. Wait. There's Harry Potter and Star Wars in this world, right? I remember Class 1B made a play as a parody. Check this, I say, taking 2 lightsabers out of my inventory. Oh, lightsabers, wow. So cool. Nice. Quick, cut that tree. Me and all the bois love lightsabers. Can't you do something similar with fire quirks? Do you even need this thing? Shimura-san speaks. Did she really say that? Blasphemy, tch women. They don't understand. Even the second and third users seem to agree. Lightsaber are a man romance and dream. Shimura, Banjo screams. Ignore her. Now cut that rock. En-san says. No. Make the 2 clash with each other. Can you use force lightning? Wait. This one is all for one talking? Throw and pull. Back, like a Jedi. In the corner of my eye I can see Shimura-san with his hand over her face muttering something like boys and their toys. The next day. You've been training here every day. This seems a little different from your cautious personality, Hector-kun. Shinomura-san talks to me. With the days we'll stay together. They know me better and I know them better too. I can say that my relationship with all of them is very good. Even with All for One. Although he is still in prison. I don't let my guard down around the bastard. But he has a certain evil charisma, which makes you like him. Maybe because he never did anything to me directly, so I don't hate his guts like the one for all users. I'm trying to catch a big fish, Shinomura-san, I say mysteriously. Before he can ask any more. It happens. A drone approaches my position carrying a smartphone. When it is close enough, the smartphone starts ringing. Heh. It's about damn time. Meta Liberation Army. Third-person POV. Meta Liberation Army. Did you find him? Sketch. Asks a man to another man on the top floor of a tall building. Rakia, or Redistro, is a tall, odd-looking, middle-aged man with a prominently long, pointed nose and obtruding chin, as well as small, dark eyes. He has short, orange-brown hair, set noticeably far up his forehead, a widow's peak pointing downwards in the center, and he wears it swept back around his head. He doesn't have any visible eyebrows, and also possesses 2 dark moles on the left of his forehead. The man he talks to is Tomoyasu Shikasaku, or Sketch, a tall and lanky man, with shiny black hair that reaches his waist, worn down with a neat fringe hanging over his eyes. Yay! We located him by satellite. He looks like he's training in the woods 30 miles from here. He's making a lot of noise and changes in scenery, strange for someone who's hiding. Sketch responds. It's because he has nothing to fear, he's arrogant. He is individually the strongest man on the planet. Redistro answers. Be in plain sight sometimes is the same of hiding. No one's would think in looking for him in a place so exposed like that. True. The drone is approaching. He will answer. Sketch speaks. And as expected a voice answers the other end's call. Click Moshi Moshi dis here. You are calling a extremely dangerous supervillain. If you want your quirk removed press 1. If you want to submit to me press 2. If you want to die press 3. An arrogant voice speaks. Dis. So nice to be able to talk to you. Redistro says calmly. And who would be the idiot? Ignoring the offenses Redistro responds. We are the Meta Liberation Army. We would like to invite you to our headquarters for a chat. Ah, the Meta Liberation Army? I never heard of it. Anyway, I don't want to buy encyclopedias. By click he hung up. Sketch can see a black color spreading across Redistro's forehead, proof that he is angry and his quirk is manifesting. Redistro feigning calm calls again. Click Moshi Moshi. Kaisatsu di suka? Officer, there's a stalker calling me all the time. Please help me. You wouldn't want your location disclosed to the heroes, would you? I'm sure even you would be inconvenient to be surrounded by heroes. Redistro speaks through gritted teeth. Oh ho, are you threatening me, dear? Just stating a fact. I don't advise starting a fight with me, Meta Liberation Army. Are you sure you want to proceed with that plan of yours? Absolutely. Huh. Fine. Let's make a bet. Say the location and time. Me and mine vs. you and your group. If I win, I will take your quirks, your lives, your money. Be prepared to forfeit everything to me. Dis speaks ominously, and if we win, Redistro asks smiling, I'll give you what you really want. All for one. Says seriously. So, say the hour and location. Are you serious? We have over 100k members on our side. Even a million ants can't threaten a dragon. Okay then. You're arrogant. Little fella. Daika City, in 1 hour. Redistro accepted. Okay. And one more thing. With your army there, only call whoever is absolutely prepared to die. Click the office was silent for a while. Notify Curious, Trumpet and Getten. The Meta Liberation Army is going to war. Redistro says with his entire face was covered in black from his quirk. Hector POV click hook, line and sinker. Making the smartphone decay with Tamura quirk I send an air cannon at the drone destroying it. Are you sure about this, Hector? Shimura-san asks me worriedly. Yes. The Meta Army is a problem for this world. They grew absurdly in numbers while staying hidden. And it has fingers in various sectors of society, press, support items, politics. Do they really have 100,000 members? Shinomura-san asks me. Yes. And they all trained with their quirks. Apparently they are an organization that follows the philosophy that the free usage of quirks is a basic human right and emphasizes liberation over regulation. They believe that the stronger you are with your quirks, your social standing must be equally high too. I say, giving a small summary of the Meta Liberation Army. Honestly, I somewhat agree with their philosophy, and I think I'm going to implement some of it when I get back to the Marvel Universe. Not all about the weak being lower in society, but that all metas can use their powers freely, and have practice with them, to avoid accidents, and seek self-improvement to improve the society as a whole. 100,000 villains hidden in plain sight. This present is full of problems. The third user says, this is All Might's fault. I say without thinking too much. And when I see Shimura-san's head turning quickly towards me I feel like I have to explain myself. Okay, All Might did a great job. It brought peace and order to society. But the system is not perfect. It is too closed off with its dogmas to maintain this fragile peace carried on the back of a single person. It restricts people and rejects the different ones. Also, All Might is very strong. Villains aren't stupid, they'll hide well. It's hard to punch an enemy you don't even know exists. So the more dangerous ones will stay hidden, amassing strength like that. Meanwhile, All Might and society in general is blissfully unaware. I say, the one for all users are silent. Not everything can be solved by punching. That I can agree with. All for one. Changing the subject. Why do you act like a third-rate villain when you're in your persona? Banjo asks me out of the blue. I shrug. I act as different as possible from my real self. Let them chase someone who doesn't exist and far from Hector as possible. After answering, I head towards the place where Machia and Arie are. Arie is drawing on Machia's skin as he takes care of her. Cute. Arie. Machia. I call and they turn to me. Arie, I'm going to fight some bad guys now. I need you to be a good girl and wait for me in your room. Behave, okay, I'll be back soon. And I say, kneeling down to keep eye level with Arie. Machia, wait for me here. Let's go together against the enemy, I say as I take Arie in my arms and walk through the portal I opened. Yes, master. I will destroy all that stand in your path. After putting Arie in the room with some anime, I go back, but I'm surprised when the second user talks to me. Are you going to kill them? He asks me. Most of them, I answer simply. Good. This surprises me. Such a large number of villains is a problem even if they are arrested. It will be good if you resolve this before you leave. He says. Some seem uncomfortable with the possible massacre that I will do now, but I don't care. I've already warned the enemy, and they are ready to die. Hector. We're talking about over 100,000 lives. You can't trivialize them like that. I'm afraid of what you might become if you walk this path of no return. Think about your own life and try to weigh it against others. She tries to advise me, but my resolve is already made. TSC Shimura-san, I've been prepared to die since the day I decided to walk in this path. Do you think I started all this thinking it is all a game? Like the children of this world hero course? As if. I know very well that I can die at any moment, really. I won't even be angry. I have already taken many lives. What right do I have to be angry if someone tries to take my life? I say seriously, and something in my eyes must have shocked her, because she is mute. Make no mistake. My life is the most important thing to me, is the ultimate gift given by my parents. I will do anything to survive, but I'm not so hypocritical as not to conjure up the possibility of my death. I have a vision for the future, Shimura-san. But if I act like a hero, considering all life equally precious, sacrificing myself for others that aren't worth it, I won't be able to accomplish my objective. The changes for the better that I want to my world. I'm sorry. I'm no hero material. I will try to uphold you guys' teachings the maximum possible. But at the end of it all, I am a selfish human. The Meta Liberation Army plans to bring chaos to all of Japan to make their thinking the only solution to an unprecedented crisis, ending millions of lives for this. I will stop them. I will stop them for the people of this world, so that the real heroes don't have to make that hard choice. Trees began to be pushed by an unseen force with me at the center. A force that represents my will. Hishouku no Haki. With that I put on my cloak and float onto Gigantomachia's back. Machia southeast. You can go slowly, we're not in a hurry. Let the enemies savor their last day in this world. I say. Yes. As Machia moves, I pull a smartphone out of my inventory and make a call. Changing my voice, I start to speak. Moshi Moshi, Kietsu desu ka? I'd like to make an anonymous report. I'm from the Meta Liberation Army, and I hear just now that we're going to be attacked by the villain Dis. Yes, this one. Actually, the Meta Liberation Army is an organization of villains. Please help me. I don't want to fight Dis, he scares me. Please. In Daika City. In 1 hour. Click destroying the smartphone, I focus forward. Principal Nizo must be planning some trap for me. Why can't I make him use this trap on my terms? Heh. Third-person POV. We have a clue about Dis Naomasa Tsukachi, a detective from the police force, announces as he enters an office with several other individuals. Apparently he will come into conflict with the Meta Liberation Army. This army actually appears to be a villainous organization with many trained members. Your hunch is right, Principal. Naomasa finishes, looking at the mouse bear dog in the room. I thought he would go after the Meta Liberation Army at some point, but I didn't think they would be a criminal organization. They advertised as a group to help you control quirks and gain a better understanding of yourself. So they will make a good prey to DIS. Principal Nizo speaks from where he is sitting on Aizawa's shoulder, the hero Eraserhead. Thanks to Hawks sharing his informations after his retirement, we can be sure that this lead is true. Aizawa adds, it's sooner than I expected, but we can put the plan into action. All characters of this play are here. Are you guys ready? The principal speaks, looking at two figures seated further away, next to All Might in his skinny form. You need me. And here I am. I owe Japan a lot, I will not back down now. A muscular man speaks. I can't deny a request from All Might. Let's tackle this villain. Another tall, muscular woman responds. Those two are Captain Celebrity and Star and Stripe, the two top heroes in America. Daika City, 1 hour later. Third-person POV. Two people approach the city of Daika via a deserted route. Arriving at a point where it is possible to see the whole city, they are accosted by a hero. The hero Slide and Go is secretly a member of the Meta Liberation Army and will be Dis and Gigantomachia's guide to the stage of confrontation between the two groups. Greetings Dis. Please follow me. You should be surprised that a pro-Herdesh just lead the way traitor. Dis interrupts him still on Gigantomachia's shoulders. He doesn't even look at the hero. Okay. After a few minutes, they approach the entrance to the city. Every city is the battlefield, right? Dis question. Exactly. This is the base of the Meta Liberation Army. All citizens are part of our great group. Slide and Go responds by making an L with his fingers in front of his forehead. I see. And have all the children and old people, people who cannot and do not want to fight, been evacuated? Dis question the hero. There is no one who didn't want to fight. But we do. Evacuate children and people who cannot fight. The traitorous hero responds. I understand. That's good. You can start by being the first causality, he says, and disappears from where he is. The hero was not unprepared. He's trained for it. He hasn't let his guard down, but Dis is just too fast. He has no chance. Grabbing Slide and Go by the head, Dis steals his quirk in an instant and then decay him in the next. A quirk that eliminates the user friction with surfaces is very useful. As he says this, several figures begin to float in the sky of the city of Daika. All these figures were invisible until now, and all of them are Dis. The clones made by the quirk twice extend one arm each and point towards the city. From each arm an electromagnetic pulse is emitted, boosted by air cannon and other quirks. All electronics in the city, with the exception of a few more protected ones, were disabled. The massacre begins now. Hector POV. Seeing all electronics disabled, I prepare for the fight. I don't believe all the electronics were destroyed. They sure must have some protection against EMP. But it's already a plus. You can use large-scale attacks using decay, cremation, or twice all. This will be over in an instant. The second user says, he is being surprisingly helpful in this mission. He seems to be the ends justify the means type of guy. Nah. Time to train. I say while jumping on the roof of a house. Desert, huh? Planning an ambush. They could be hiding underground, inside houses further down the road, or even above the clouds. Stay alert. The third user speaks. Yes. Let's start big then, since they don't want to get out of their holes. I readied my arm. My body alone is far superior to that of a normal person, so I can use a stolen quirk much better than the original user. If I combine with other quirks, the power will increase even more. And if I use one for all, using a combination of quirks, I target the Ditnerat company building, which I know from my meta knowledge is the headquarters. Let's see how strong I really am. Flexing my muscles, I aim the air cannon at the building. Boom! The air mass launched by me goes unimpeded halfway, destroying houses, uprooting trees, flattening the terrain. But a giant ice wall rises to prevent the air mass from flowing into the building. Getten, one of the top fighters and ice user. Not that it can stop much. The ice wall is also thrown away and my attack continues its way, weakened but still continues. But another ice wall rises right in front of the building again, but this time tilted. And finally the air mass is diverted to the sky. That building appears to be reinforced too. I say, thinking that the building only swayed a little. Oh look, did the little rats come out of their holes? I talk in a condescending tone to annoy them. And more people show up. And more. And more. It doesn't stop until a mass of people get in my way between the tower. Huh. Like little ants protecting the anthill, I say, looking at them joining together. I can recognize some executives, but Redistro isn't here. Why don't I filter the weaklings first? I speak before releasing my house Hoku no Haki. It's the first time I've used it on this scale. After just one wave I stop giving off my pressure, and they start to fall. What is happening? Is this a quirk? Oi oi, wake up, 2/3 of them fell. And my Katakuri card is still at 51%, even with all the spars with Machia. Let's resolve this stagnation. and I launch myself towards the mass of enemies. Machia. Destroy. I say, pointing to the tower. Yes, he yells and grows, and starts moving forward, ignoring all the little ants in his path. Third-person POV close to Daika City. It's amazing that so many heroes were gathered so quickly. Kathleen Bate, hero name, Star and Stripe, the top one hero of America, comments after seeing the large numbers of heroes moving to the city of Daika. They were all ordered to be 24/7 ready to be called. Principal Niza responds, "This is the greatest heroic mobilization in history. We have to win." Most of Japan's heroes, along with the police force and America's top 2 heroes, are coming together to face a single villain. Satellite images already point the conflict between the two groups. Tsukachi warns, "Time to go. A.N. We are approaching the conclusion. If you want to accomplish something, you must be prepared to dirty your hands. Remember when your mother taught you not to judge people by their appearance?" The second user speaks and I nod. Forget about it. Although is not a fail-proof rule, you can guess someone's abilities with just one look. Especially if you have several quirks that allow you to get information. He says, "This is true. Especially here in BNHA, where appearance changes drastically to adapt to the quirks. It's not so much in Marvel, but if I can look beyond the normal side of a human, like infrared vision and others, I might have an advantage. Theoretically, if someone notices Magneto affecting the electromagnetic fields around him, they can guess that his power has something to do with magnetism. Even if someone never met Magneto before, the first thing I should do when I meet someone is use my powers of observation to get information. Even if I know the person. Could be some shapeshifter, illusion, or whatever. You also need to improve your fighting style." And San talks freeubnov.com. "What's wrong? I know all man-made martial arts," I ask, intrigued, while jabbing 15 times at different opponents. Precisely on their chins. And it's Shimura-san who answers me. "Sometimes fighting styles can restrict you if you get too attached to them. For example, you can fly. There is no martial art that includes flying in its movements. You and I can fight a 3-dimensional aerial battle. It's an incredible advantage against someone who can't fly. No need to have a stance into the ground. Leverage in any direction. If you stick to normal martial arts, you're limiting your potential," she says. "And you can change your body too much to be grounded by conventional martial arts." Ensan adds, "That's why you need is to create your own style." Banjo-san speaks animatedly, intruding on the conversation. "Creating my own style. Sounds difficult," I say as I dodge a guy who releases some kind of liquid through his mouth. It seems to be just glue. But I will not leave anything secreted by an enemy and touch. "Not really," the second holder says. "You already started creating unconsciously." This surprises me. "I did?" I ask. "Yeah. We noticed that your fighting style tends more towards counter one-hit kill. You watch the opponent, and when he attacks you, you fight back with the aim of being over in an instant, with no second chances." Shinomura-san speaks. "It seems to be true. I notice when a person throws several spheres towards me that have been ejected from the fingertips. They look like bombs, so I swing my arm to send the orbs back at the attacker. They explode almost on top of him, and I take advantage and land a good punch through the smoke. I have a huge choice of powers. So I really must have a power for every situation. Like Batman utility belt. And inflicting the most amount of damage at the start of the fight is a huge advantage. My fighting style, I start trying to visualize something. And I resolve to train observation haki while I contemplate. The situation stays like this for about 10 minutes, until one of the holders asks me, "Why did you stop fighting back? I imagine you want to train, but wouldn't it be better to lower the numbers even further, before you start training? There are at least 10,000 surrounding you. The rest seem to be focused and preventing Gigantomachia from advancing towards the tower." Shinomura-san asks me. I feel like I'm getting close to an advanced form of one of my powers. I replied absently as I dodged projectiles coming in various directions. Now I can use all forms of haki, but I still can't use advanced forms like seeing the future. I feel like the new experience of a one-man versus army fight is giving me a good progression on my cards percentages. As I fight, I try to spread my awareness throughout the battlefield with haki and the force. I can feel each of these guys, in the streets, in the houses, in the air and hiding in the sewers. I can feel a little of their emotions, intentions, and with that read the flow of battle. and see if I can learn something from them. Have some reference to my future fighting style. But I know there are things I can't force. Sometimes you have to go at your own pace. Huh. Oh, I understand. Stopping thinking. Clearing my mind. My fighting style, my body, my rhythm, my third-person POV. When Hector had his little epiphany, something strange happened. Hector is a smart person, so he thinks about things a lot. He considers it a good thing. But sometimes it can become a detriment to him in certain ways. That is when Hector closes his mind to just what he has at hand. With his assimilation of cards, Hector has the potential to use all of the character's abilities. And he will eventually complete it, even if he is lazy and does nothing. But when Hector wants to speed up the process, he tries to train the card's abilities, powers, and other attributes. So he tries to do similar training to the characters, or what he's seen in the fictional works of the respective world of the characters. He even tried eating more donuts to see if it would speed up the katakuri assimilation. While this thought helped him to have a satisfying steady growth, it also restricted him. After all, Hector is Hector. Perhaps he has a much better method of progressing, and his vision focused only on what he knows now prevents him from finding out other means, maybe even better means. At the moment, Hector is getting carried away by all the feedback of his powers of spiritual origins. The Force and Haki. He is feeling everything around him and bathing himself in the sensations. Sometimes you can't force something. You have to wait for the right moment, when all pieces fall in place and things just click. Now he is in a state where he is growing by leaps and bounds. If he were fully conscious, he would call this state wuxia/xiangxia good fortune bullshit. The percentage of katakuris and Star Killers cards since he started doing this has already increased by 15% each. He even unlocked a special ability from Observation Haki, to see other people's emotions. Katakuri does not have this ability. In the world of One Piece, Admiral Fujitora is the only one who uses this power a lot. But Hector was able to unlock it because he was given the potential to use Haki from Katakuri. Nothing stops him from going beyond what Katakuri could do. But that will be uncharted territory. He would have to rely on his own good luck and effort. This unexpected growth is due to the combination of Force. The Force helps the user be much more sensitive to living beings and the world around them, so the Force is kind of piggybacking Hector's Haki, making it grow. Hector inner world, is he in the zone or something like that? Banjo-san asks upon seeing the state Hector is in. Unblinking eyes, he's dodging every attack by a strand of hair, getting into unnatural stances and fighting back from even more impossible and strange positions. There's no martial art in what Hector is doing. I guess so. He seems to be letting his body move by itself, using danger sense to predict attacks. Shinomura-san says, danger sense? It seems more like predicting the future. En-san says as he watches Hector create a pillar of ice towards a house, apparently a wasted action. Only for a guy to go out the window of the house, and with his own momentum to be impaled by the ice. Or seeing him throw a fireball in an empty direction, but the next moment one of the goons of Meta Liberation Army create a large amount of ice. The fire he released exploded on the ice, generating a lot of fog, making it impossible for enemies to see, giving Hector the advantage of taking out a lot of opponents. But it seems that everything has to come to an end. When Hector is being surrounded, he just stops. Seeing a few seconds in the future, he knows he has no escape route, although the next attack by the Meta Liberation Army won't hurt him, but his body chooses to stay still. Boom! The people surrounding him exploded as he threatened to take a step. A feint that he uses. It didn't hurt Hector, but it took away his concentration, taking him out of the state of spiritual growth he was in. My, you really are strong and so mysterious. What are your motivations for becoming so strong? I got nothing on you. Did you have a bad childhood? Feel powerless and helpless in the past? Please, give me an interview. I will immortalize your story so it will be told until the end of times. A woman with blue skin talks excitedly. This woman is Kazuki Chitose, codename Curious. She is one of the leading members of Meta Liberation Army. She likes to do face-to-face interview with people. Because of that, she is exposing herself so much to the point of being a few meters away from the villain Dis. Even knowing that she have no chance in a direct confrontation, she plans to let her quirk her landmine, to protect her by keeping Dis away from her. Things won't go in the way she expects. Can you answer me? We have a tight schedule. She starts to speak, but realizes she's falling. Not all of her. Just her head. She and her entire squad have already been killed by Dis, but before her head hits the ground or she dies, Dis holds her head and brings it to eye level, while quickly removing her quirk. Fucking thought, you messed up my grinding. Dis say, gritting his teeth before smashing her skull in the concrete. Hector POV fuck. Such good opportunity. Trying to get back to the state I am previously seems to be futile. Just like trying to get back to the dream you were having before you were forcibly awakened. TCH. The Force and Haki tuning themselves, helping each other grow. When will that happen again? Well, at least that opened a new door of opportunity. I have to test in the future. But now I'm going to take care of these guys. My mood is bad right now. Taking a quick look at the battlefield, I assess the situation. Machia is buried in ice, or trying to be buried. He just keeps moving forward. And the people of the Meta Liberation Army are throwing themselves at him like moth to a flame. Kamikaze-like strategy. That guy who can boost crowd morale seems to be there, urging people to do whatever it takes to stop the advance of Machia. Geddon is also there apparently, in some place close to that ice. I just killed Curious, so Skeptic and Redistro must be in the tower. Time to end this. Doofensmishmerts after a breakup? Don't let your men do all the dirty work. Come play too. I scream towards the tower and use force. My cheap ultra instinct state brought me more or less close to the tower. About 3 kilometers, so I throw my hand towards the tower and pull. Force pull. My assimilation with Starkiller is satisfactory enough. If he can pull down a Star Destroyer from the sky, I can pull a tower from some miles away. Nobody expected what I did. The tower is uprooted and starts flying in my overall direction. Machia? To me. I give the order and Machia changes direction towards me, easily getting rid of the ice and all the ants that try to slow him down. Crash. The tower falls to the ground about 20 meters away from me. I think I could pull more, but here's enough. You didn't die, right? You're the low-budget version of Hulk in this world. You couldn't have died that easily, I say to the debris of the building and the silence of the battlefield. Then I hear something moving below ground and Redistro emerges, much larger than usual and protecting Sketch in his arms. A large part of his face is already darkened, proving he's already pretty pissed off. So I do the sensible thing and ask to be sure, like a little brother. You're mad? Do not get angry. Sorry? Duct tape, glue, and spit can solve this. I say, gesturing around me. To all the destruction and dead bodies. The dark spot on his face grows even bigger. I let a few minutes go by. Machia approaches to stand beside me, while his army gathers on the opposite side. I'll give you one last chance. Let me remove the quirks from your strongest and I'll be gone. I say, making one last offer. Looking at the previous battle, I see that many quirks have similar effects or are downgrades version of some that I already have. I just plan on picking up some elemental powers, some weird ones, and that's it. Aside from the executives, I've only seen a guy who uses electricity and one who makes plants grow interestingly. I never planned on collecting all of their 100,000 quirks. I don't even know if my body can take it, for now. In the future, yes, I know I won't have a problem even if I have trillions of powers. My secondary mutation and my growth assimilating characters will make sure of this. But I would need some time. Something I don't have. I need to dedicate myself to my main project. Less than 2 weeks until my time here ends, and I'm still halfway through. Take our quirks is the same of taking our lives, or reason of being, or opportunity of growth. I will never subject anyone of the Meta Liberation Army to this. Redistro says. Self-righteous bullshit, I say. He just doesn't want to have his quirk stolen. Very well, just know that everything that happens from now on is in your hands as much as they are in mine. I say, getting ready. They on the other side get ready too. His mini mecha-like suit comes flying in Redistro direction. And Trumpet, the guy with a quirk to hype people, starts speaking. The enemy is before us, my friends. They're trying to take everything from us. Everything we work so hard for. Curious have been killed by they wretched hands. Are we gonna to allow this goes unpunished? No. Everyone screams, so let's win. Yeah, wake up and fight. For a better future. That's a good quirk, I notice. They're getting slightly stronger. Even the guys I knocked out earlier with my Hoshoka no Haki are waking up. Very good, this quirk of yours will be very useful. I say. But without using the power of union or friendship, Please. I say, disappearing. And reappearing right above Trumpet. I say, you guys are the bad guys, these things don't work that way, you know, and I just grab him by the head to steal his quirk. My powers alert me to the large amount of ice and the big fist coming towards me. Boom, surprise! I was going easy before, so you guys couldn't react to my speed, right? People are so easily fooled. I say, already in my previous position next to Machia and holding Trumpet by the hair. Will the quirk remain in effect even if he becomes unconscious or dies? Are you all still in the hype? Or did morale drop after seeing the big difference in power? I say, taking a step forward, and many taking a step back. You all look scared and shocked that you're losing. Have you never been in losing end? Did you never think that everything could be stolen from you? I say as I start to float, after having tossed Trumpet's body aside. I see you guys hide your weakness in numbers. You guys are really pathetic. Machia, destroy the ants, but let the slightly bigger ants to me. I say, looking at Redistro and Geddon. Yes. Machia says and clasps his hand loudly in the direction of the army. The shockwave hits the army, make many stumble. After this, Machia goes berserk with them. Now, it's our turn, I say before closing my distance with my dance partners. A few kilometers away from Daika City. You won't believe the images the satellites are capturing. A policeman speaks alongside Tsukachi on the convoy that transports the main heroes to Daika. The situation in Daika City is shocking to say the least. At least a third of all of Japan's heroes were gathered, along with the police force and the support of America's heroes. Principal Nizo watches the images on the monitor and speaks. It looks like the situation is at its peak there. That gives us two options. We can either step in the moment we arrives, or take a page out of Dis's book and wait for both sides to tire each other out. After saying that, he looks around at the people around him. Star and Stripe, Eraserhead, Captain Celebrity, Endeavor, Edgeshot, Crust and many others. The answer is obvious. Will not hesitate, let's move forward and stop this destruction as quickly as possible. Star and Stripe talks from your seat. Nisa smile with this. That's how heroes are, they don't always take the easy way out. But after a few minutes, after they arrive in Daika, they are met with a catastrophe. Floating in the air, over a mountain of debris and bodies, some people alive but unconscious. There is Dis and a giant man on the floor next to him. Dis had already won. Oh, you really came. I thought about doing a battle royale or something, but these guys were weaker than I thought. Dis speaks after seeing that they had already arrived. His voice traveling far, to the corner of the city where the heroes were. Well, let's begin this final battle. I have things to do. Hector POV. I can feel the various presences of the heroes approaching, long before they can be seen. It came a lot of them, but not as much as in the manga. Looks like they didn't have time to do a bigger operation. But watching that they actually came up with so many top heroes shows that they really are desperate for a clue of myself. I kind of disappeared for them since the night on Kamino. I don't see Aizawa. He must be hiding somewhere to erase my powers. Leading the way are Endeavor, Crust, Present Mike, Gang Orca and the lion hero Shishido. Bubbles begin to appear and take out the injured members of the Meta Liberation Army. That hero Wash is here too, huh? Not everyone will join the battlefront apparently. I turn to Endeavor. Number 1. You are ready for the battle. That will decide the fate of Japan. This time I will take your quirk. I say. Dis, he says gritting his teeth, I'll make you give back Shoto's quirk. Right. I'll give it back anyway. I say nonchalantly. Wadesh he starts, but I cut him off. Forget what I said for now. Let's fight. Machia, get out of town and just watch. I command while looking intently at the other group. I feel something is off. There's no way they could be stupid enough to think they can defeat me with just these heroes. Even though they are hiding Eraserhead for now, I have the strongest hero and the strongest villain powers. Are they planting a bomb? But I called they here just for prevent that. With so many people they can't use weapons of mass destruction. Do they want to buy time to rescue civilians and then nuke me? Maybe they have backup? I'll leave Machia out for now, in case of unforeseen circumstances. Third person POV. As Gigantomachia moves to the edge of town, Dis and the group of heroes continue to look at each other. The two groups ignore the efforts of the support heroes and the police force to save and arrest the people of the Meta Liberation Army. Zing out of nowhere, Dis activated a barrier around himself. This barrier is the quirk of one of the 8 precepts of death, Overhaul's subordinates. Looking at his back he sees that a line collided with the barrier, but after being repelled the line unfolded in the form of a hero. A sneak attack, huh? Very ninja, edge shot. Dis speaks looking at the hero. He reaches out and prepares to launch an air cannon in edge shot's direction. But as he raises his arm, he changes direction and points over his shoulder to a Endeavor rapidly approaching from behind. Flash fire fist. But the air cannon clashes with Endeavor attack sending shockwave that moves Endeavor several meters back, but before he goes too far, the hero crust creates shields on its arms and stops Endeavor from being sent to out of the battlefield. I thought you had already suffered this attack, Endeavor. Are you getting old? Or did I hit you too hard on the head last time? Dis provokes and to add salt from the wound he puts his right hand on the ground and creates an iceberg towards Endeavor and crust. Endeavor obviously melts the ice before it gets there. But Dis doesn't stop generating ice. And Endeavor can't stop now either. After a while Dis replaces the ice with blue flames. The abrupt change of attack causes Endeavor to suffer a direct hit. Are you overheating, Endeavor? Hector asks as he continues to send flames. Let me cool you down then, he says, and Endeavor prepares for another ice attack, but he doesn't see Hector launching any attacks until he feels a sharp pain in the left side of his back. Looking back he sees an ice spear stuck 2 palms above his hip. How? He asks as he heats up his body to make the spear melt. Misinformation can be dangerous, Endeavor. You think I can only generate ice because I stole your son's quirk. But I just acquired a quirk that can control ice. And for that you received such nasty attack. Dis says as he floats high in the air, out of reach of most heroes. But Endeavor obviously didn't give up. He and other long-range heroes launch a joint attack against Hector who are still in the air. Arg. Hector just reaches forward and uses an air cannon to fend off the attacks. The explosion of the clash makes his mantle flap in the wind. Ah! Dis exclaims as he slowly begins to fall head-first to the ground. His float quirk was forcibly disabled. Dis looks around calmly and sees the hero Eraserhead on top of a building along with several heroes that can support him. I see the place I'm in has good visibility all the way to the ground. And that last attack was to blow off my hood and reveal my face. Dis mutters I shouldn't have fought directly the attacks, just dodged. Dis continues muttering quietly, he doesn't feel he's in danger, even though he can't use his quirks. A sound of sharp wind approaches Hector, and his observation haki shows that Captain Celebrity will arrive and try to pull more of his cloak while trying to punching him. Reinforcements. But you all really are uninformed. Dis says before taking a spin in the air, covering his entire body with his mantle, causing Eraserhead's erasure quirk to lose its effect. Captain Celebrity rushes to attack Dis, but finds only an empty mantle. Eraser, be careful. Dis already appears behind Eraserhead, with his hand outstretched to touch his head. With your quirk, things will be a lot easier. Dis speaks just a centimeter away, but at that moment a hand coming from a place right next to Hector grabs his arm.